Good morning. This is Thursday, December 21st, and this is the time and place set for the regularly scheduled Nevada Gaming Commission meeting for the month of December. If you could please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Commissioner Solis Rainey had a court appearance for her other job. So she may be joining us at some point during the meeting if that court appearance permits. But at this time, Madam Secretary, has our agenda been posted in accordance with the open meeting law?
Yes, it has.
All right. At this time, I would like to remind anyone coming to the podium to speak. We ask that you speak directly into the microphone as clearly as possible, as this meeting is being transcribed and transmitted electronically. So Madam Secretary, if we could please proceed with our first agenda item, public comments.
This item is placed on the agenda to give the public an opportunity to comment on gaming-related matters.
So anyone that wishes to address the commission may do so at this time. Matters brought to our attention during public comment cannot be acted upon, but we are happy to hear comments of the public as well as any comments of my fellow commissioners. Comments by all will be limited to 3 minutes as a reasonable time, place, and manner restriction. If any of my fellow commissioners or myself ask any questions of the public, the time needed to address those questions will not be held against those time constraints. If you have any handouts or any copies of your comments to provide, please do not approach the dais with them. An enforcement agent will come and grab them from you. I'm first going to go to Carson City. Anyone wishing to make a public comment, please step forward to the podium. There being no one present to make public comment in Carson City, here in Las Vegas. Hello.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Got a copy of some statements here and then some other documents here. My name is Rory Kuykendall. I'm here on behalf of the Culinary Union.
Would you mind spelling your name, and I won't count that again?
Yes, ma'am. It's R-O-R-Y. It's my first name. And then the last name is K-U-Y-K-E-N-D-A-L-L.
Thank you.
Try to get this in 3 minutes. I'm here on behalf of the Culinary Union. We have commented before about how in 2020, Station Casino's executives send messages about efforts to support and coordinate the decertification of the union at certain of its properties. Station Casinos withdrew recognition from the union at Boulder Station in August 2020 and Palace Station in September 2020. An employer violates federal labor law by assisting and encouraging its employees to sign a decertification petition. The following year, Station Casino's management doubled down on its support for decertification by coordinating a picket of the Culinary Union headquarters on a Sunday in August when the union was closed. The Las Vegas Review-Journal said that about 100 Station Casino's supervisors picketed the Culinary Union's office for about an hour. As this bizarre management-led action against workers, as bizarre as this management-led action against workers was, its timing was even more bizarre. Even as it was staging its publicity stunt outside the Culinary Union, Station Casinos was facing allegations of contempt of court brought by the federal government against 5 of its properties. In March 2021, the National Labor Relations Board initiated contempt proceedings in 2 separate federal courts of appeal following Station Casino's failure to bargain in good faith with the International Union of Operating Engineers Local 501 at 5 casinos. The NLRB's contempt petitions allege that the casino's conduct has sabotaged the bargaining process. In April 2021, the NLRB and Station Casinos agreed to refer the cases to the court's mediation program. In August 2021, Station Casinos management picketed an empty building. In November 2021, the NLRB and Station Casinos filed joint motions to approve consent orders settling the contempt proceedings. While not admitting to liability, Station Casinos agreed to that the 5 properties could be subjected to fines of up to $25,000 for each and every future violation of the court's judgment. Civil contempt proceedings are serious and can result in fines and even jail time. A Nevada gaming license is not a license to show contempt for the order of a federal court. Along with this comment, we will be turning in 5 documents. I have them right here. The contempt petition filed in March 2021 in the 9th Circuit, a consent motion to hold the cases in abeyance pending mediation filed in April 2021, the consent orders filed to settle the 9th Circuit and DC Circuit proceedings in November 2021, and a company circulated flyer about the August 2021 protest. Thank you. I got the documents here.
Thank you.
So the documents, this is a copy of my statement. And then
We can do that at the end because you're cutting into your time.
okay.
Oh, I didn't, oh, I thought you weren't done.
Oh, excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm done. We got a couple more people.
Okay. Thank you very much. So for the record, what did you give us? Real quick. Can you come back up real quick?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What did you give us for the record?
Okay, so the 5 documents that I turned in, one of them is a contempt petition filed in March 2021 for the Ninth Circuit. And then there's a consent motion to hold the cases in abeyance pending mediation filed in April 2021. The consent orders filed to settle the Ninth Circuit and the DC Circuit. So that's 2 different documents. And then the company circulated flyer from August 2021.
Okay, 1 second. Jose, we have all that? Thumbs up. Thank you.
Good.
Thank
Okay.
you. Yes.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Could the next person who wishes to make public comment, please step forward? Good morning.
Good morning.
How are
My
you?
name is Alba Acosta,
Could you
I-
spell your last name for us?
Acosta.
Thank you.
I work for Red Rock Casino. I started in 2006 as a banquet server. Within my time at Red Rock, I was able to grow alongside the hotel. I'm fighting to be reinstated into our pre-pandemic positions alongside regaining our original seniority. Within my 14 years in the company, I made my way up to a B list, which has secured me working an average of 30 plus hours a week. Then after pandemic, I was rehired as an on-call server. I am now lucky if I'm able to work a single shift a week. This financial change has burdened me and my family, adding additional stress and mental anguish that continues to affect my life to this day. I am a sole caretaker of my elderly, physically disabled mother. I have to constantly worry about her health, along with if I have the ability to afford her care. It's a constant burden that I have spiraled into. Within the loss of work, I had the stress about looking for other employment outside of station casinos to make up for losses in revenue that I was not financially prepared for. I was able to gain employment through other companies on the strip. While working for MGM Venetian, I was able to personally witness the difference of company-wide compassion for its employees. The care and loyalty to employees was demonstrated through actions. It seems like no one lost their positions or seniority. We were all able to keep them throughout the pandemic. And that really opened up my eyes. Despite my 14-year sacrifice to Red Rock, I was treated like a simple rock in the fountain. Many other companies have come back strong post-pandemic, giving opportunities for workers to come back during life-changing events that was the pandemic. Station Casino seems to be the only one going backwards. I have personally lost faith in the company's humanity for those who work within their walls. By losing their humanity, the company has handicapped itself by weakening its support held by its employees. They promise to give so much, such as free healthcare, but with limited hours, I'm not qualified to receive any of the benefits they so-called offer. Its benefits are only for full-time employees, which pre-pandemic I was. The company prides itself on giving back to the community. One of its most famous quotes is, "We love locals," but it's refusing to give back what really matters, our jobs. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to make a public comment?
My name is Leroy Johnson.
Dawson?
Johnson,
Oh, Johnson.
Leroy Johnson, like
Thank
the old
you.
president. I've been working at the Census Station for like 7 years. I've been a union worker all my life, 40 years in the grocery business in California. And I can't understand why the union, the company don't want to deal with the contract, for us, we work hard every day. And we just want what we need, everything's gone up and this and that, and I'm just fighting for the right to have a decent contract for my family and everyone else. And, I'm just fighting for everything to be right. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anybody else wishing to make public comment? Okay, that concludes the public comment section. Thank you. Madam Secretary, the next item on our agenda is the approval of the prior month's disposition.
Pursuant to NRS 241.035, this item is the consideration of the approval of the Nevada Gaming Commission disposition for November 2023.
I believe each of us has had the opportunity to review the prior month's disposition. If there are no comments or questions, I believe this is a proper form for a motion.
Chair, I move for the approval of the prior month's disposition.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you. Madam Secretary, if you could please read in the non-restricted consent items.
Your items on the non-restricted consent agenda this morning are items 3, 4, 7, 10, and 11. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda, and I believe we have a disclosure on these items.
Chair, thank you. I have a number of disclosures for non-restricted. Number 3, Century Gaming Technologies is adverse to a client of Lewis Roca, the firm where I am a partner in matters in which I'm not personally involved. I have no pecuniary interest in the outcome of this agenda item, and I do not believe the independence of judgment of a reasonable person in my position would be affected by the relationship described on the record, and I therefore intend to participate. I also have a disclosure for William Hill Sportsbook, which is a slightly different name from the applicant William Hill Race and Sportsbook, but that entity is adverse to a client of Lewis Roca, the firm where I'm a partner in matters in which I'm not personally involved. And then lastly, for non-restricted item number 7, Seminole Hard Rock Digital LLC, which is also a slightly different name from the applicant Seminole Hard Rock International LLC, is adverse to a client of Lewis Roca, the firm where I'm a partner in which matters I'm not personally involved. I have no pecuniary interest in the outcome of any of these agenda items, and I do not believe the independence of judgment of a reasonable person in my position would be affected by the relationship described on the record, and I therefore intend to participate.
Thank you. All right, as to the consent agenda and the items on that agenda, does any one of the commissioners have any questions or comments that they wish to make? If not, I would call for a motion.
Move to approve the consent calendars.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you. Madam Secretary, if you could please read in the restricted consent items.
Your items on the restricted consent agenda this morning are 2, 8, 9, and 10. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda, and I believe we have a disclosure on these items.
Okay, I have a disclosure to make on item number 2, Humbug LLC. Mr. Marsh is a friend of one of my parents. I do not have an independent friendship or relationship with Mr. Marsh, and therefore I conclude that the independence of a judgment of a reasonable person in my situation would not be materially affected by this relationship. And because it is not a clear case of a disqualifying conflict of interest, and I have no pecuniary interest in this or any relationship with Mr. Marsh of any significance, I am going to be voting on this matter. Commissioner, anyone else have a disclosure to make?
I don't have any items to disclose from a conflict standpoint, but I am disappointed Mr. Marsh isn't going to be here because I was looking forward to another Nevada history lesson, and he does so well.
Well, it was enjoyable to watch. Thank you. All right, so at this time, does anyone have any questions or comments on items 2, 8, 9, and 10? Oh. Yeah, you were on there. Okay, sorry.
Oh, no, it's my fault.
Okay, we're going back. Commissioner Brown has a disclosure.
And I will reiterate these. I mentioned them earlier for the non-restricted, but I'll state these because they're a little bit different. For restricted number 8 and restricted number 9, Century Gaming Technologies and United Coin Machine Company are adverse parties to a client of Lewis Roca, the firm where I am a partner in matters in which I'm not personally involved. I have no pecuniary interest in the outcome of these agenda items, and I do not believe the independence of judgment of a reasonable person in my position would be affected by the relationship described on the record. I therefore intend to participate. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving to, before I call for a motion, are there any questions or comments on any of these items? There being none, does anyone have a motion?
I would move to approve the consent calendar on the restricted items as presented.
All right, any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you very much. We're now going to move to the non-restricted items held out for discussion. Madam Secretary, if you could read in non-restricted number 1.
Non-restricted number 1 are the applications of JJVG Nevada Voco LLC for registration as a holding company and for finding of suitability as a member and manager of JJVG Nevada Holdings LLC. You also have the applications of JJVG Nevada Holdings LLC for registration as a private investment company and for finding of suitability as a sole member and manager of JJVG Nevada Intermediate 1 LLC. It is also the applications of JJVG Nevada Intermediate 1 LLC for registration as an intermediary company, for finding of suitability as a sole member and manager of JJVG Nevada Intermediate 2 LLC, and to grant an option to Macquarie Capital Investment Holdings, Inc., as noted on the agenda. You also have the applications of JJVG Nevada Intermediate 2 LLC for registration as an intermediary company and for finding of suitability as a sole member and manager of JJVG Nevada Intermediate 3 LLC. It is also the applications of JJVG Nevada Intermediate 3 LLC for registration as an intermediary company, for finding of suitability as sole member of J&J Ventures Gaming of Nevada LLC, and to pledge membership interest as noted on the agenda. You also have the application of J&J Ventures Gaming of Nevada LLC for registration as an intermediary company, for finding of suitability as a sole member and manager of Golden Route Operations LLC, and to pledge membership interest as noted on the agenda. It is also the applications of Golden Route Operations LLC for a transfer of interest as noted on the agenda and to pledge membership interest as noted on the agenda. Lastly, you have the applications of Matthew Wilson, Jordan Cruz, and David Quick for finding of suitability as a member, manager, and key executive as noted on the agenda. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda.
Good morning, Chair Tagliati, Commissioners, Madam Secretary. For the record, I am Erica Oakberg. I'm appearing today on behalf of Oak Tree and J&J Ventures Gaming of Nevada LLC, or J&J Nevada. Here with me today are two of the applicants, Matt Wilson and David Quick. We thank you for waiving the appearance of Jordan Cruz, who has previously been found suitable and was before the board earlier this month. Also here for J&J Nevada in the audience is the in-house counsel, Jamal Goodrich. And in case there are any questions for Golden, we have Phyllis Gilland along with Blake Sartini II and Luke Gums. We have provided a slide deck to you, which we ask to be treated as confidential and not be made part of public record. We know the commissioners have had an opportunity to watch the board meeting, so we don't plan to restate our full presentation here. Instead, if it's acceptable, I would just provide a few high-level remarks for the record.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. So first, Oak Tree was before you last month on the November agenda in connection with its acquisition of Mesquite Gaming, and at that time provided an overview of Oak Tree as well as Special Situations Fund. We have included an appendix in the slide deck with more background if you're looking for that for reference. As to the transaction before you today, J&J Nevada intends to acquire the slot route business from Golden Entertainment via Golden Route Operations, LLC, or GRO. If you turn to slide 1 in your deck, you'll see the post-closing structure, and this is pursuant to the private investment company model under Regulation 15C. I discussed in detail at the board meeting the requirements for 15C and how we believe that this complies. We also discussed that there is a larger J&J organization that's not before you today. There is a plan or an intent in the future to incorporate this Nevada structure into that. And we, of course, will file the appropriate applications and come before you with that at the appropriate time. Also at the board meeting, Chair Hendrick asked some questions regarding updates for Oak Tree on a few matters. Just for the sake of the record, we wanted to note that since the board meeting, there have been no material changes to any of those items, which were ownership, organizational structure, litigation, regulatory matters, and then financing.
And a draw on the revolver.
Correct.
So
And that has not changed. And then additionally, at the board meeting, we also had Mr. Wilson and Mr. Cruz who were here to talk about the sources and uses for the transaction and also to talk about the future plans. We have included those slides in the deck. We didn't plan to restate those remarks, but of course, we're happy to talk through any questions you might have. That's our overview, and we're here for anything that you might need.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I will open it up to my colleagues for any questions or comments, starting with.
None. I was satisfied with the NGC presentation, Madam Chair.
Okay. If you have any questions or comments,
I did.
please.
Thank you. I appreciate the presentation very much. I wasn't clear if somebody could speak to this. How did this transaction come about? Who approached whom? I'm just curious how you identified this.
Sure.
David Quick for the record. Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here. There's actually a long history. Matt Wilson went to college with the COO of Golden, Charles Patel. And obviously distributed gaming is not a huge industry. So there were conversations occurring for many years, had a lot of respect for the Sartinis and what they had done, and just felt it ultimately made more sense to have that business within from Golden within Nevada and Montana, part of a focused route operation as opposed to in the other entities with all the other things Golden had.
Thank you. I'm always interested in the Genesis story, and now it's even better than I thought. And then the voting and control membership interest issued by the PIG, they'll be held by JJVG Nevada Vote Co. LLC, which is equally owned and managed by Mr. Wilson, Mr. Cruz, and Mr. Quigg. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. It's a simple transaction, but at the same time, I just want to make sure I understand all of the details. And in turn, then Oak Tree owns the non-voting economic only membership interest through its management investment fund, Oak Tree SSF 2, and intermediary companies.
That's correct.
Okay.
And that goes up to the Special Situations Fund.
Okay, and then the event the commission approves this proposed acquisition today, then 100% of the membership interests in Golden Entertainment will be transferred to JJVG Nevada NV.
Yes, so it will be J&J Ventures
I
Gaming.
see
of
her
Nevada,
shaking her
LLC.
head.
Oh, yes.
Okay, good.
We're not selling that.
Okay.
Yeah, Golden Entertainment is selling Golden Route Operations
Okay.
LLC, which is
Okay.
going.
As far as they know.
I saw a head shake over there. Thank you. And then with the amended credit agreement, is that secured by pledges of JJVG NVs and the Golden Route Operations entities membership interest to Credit Suisse?
That's correct.
Okay. And is the closing date scheduled for the end of the month of December still on track?
They currently are anticipating closing in mid-January.
Okay. And why has that changed?
I believe the parties wanted some additional time to complete some of the other steps for regulatory filings and also some financial considerations for year-end closing.
Okay. So mid-January is the anticipated closing date?
That's correct.
Okay. And where is JJVG NV in the process of finalizing its compliance plan and forming its Nevada Gaming Compliance Committee?
The compliance plan has been submitted to the board chair for review and approval, and the compliance committee members have been set, and also a letter has been submitted requesting administrative acknowledgement of those members.
Excellent. Thank you for answering all of my questions. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Commissioner Krolicki?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. Welcome.
Morning.
I think these gentlemen have spent more time in Nevada than I have in a few months. Get your Nevada driver's license if you've been here.
I'll pay the taxes here for sure.
You won't miss California that way. Again, thank you for being here. This is an important time. I applaud the transaction. It's exciting. Mr. Sartini and your family. This is a big deal for Nevada. We're excited for all parties, but welcome. And you've been through the cruncher here. Most of my questions, I think all of them perhaps, have been answered. Thank you for that. And Commissioner Brown's always thorough. So I had the same compliance committee and plan, question. I keep hearing though, Credit Suisse. I think Credit Suisse is gone. Is it just automatically transfers to UBS or how does that work?
I believe that is correct.
That's right.
All right. So all these references to Credit Suisse are now crossed out in their UBS?
Yeah, I mean, I think from a technical standpoint, they might still have that name around. So that's why we
It's just
still have the name
confusing.
there.
But
Yeah,
you've got the
I don't think
Cayman
they've
Islands, yeah.
consolidated everything yet to the UBS name. Technically, it's UBS kind of at the ultimate chain.
Okay. And you had no problem with the condition of the $25,000 revolver?
We do not.
I'm fine. I think the Gaming Control Board, as they always do, did an incredibly thorough job. The folks working on this project, congratulations. It's an exciting time, happy holidays. And I'm planning to fully support this.
Okay, at the risk of beating a dead horse, I'm just making a record that you've addressed the non-interference at, in November, December board meeting, and here today, yes?
Yes.
And so it's been thoroughly addressed. And so I agree with my colleague. This has been fully vetted and I have no problem supporting these applications. And so at this time, I don't know how we take it as a master motion perhaps for all, unless somebody has additional questions of the individuals that we haven't already addressed in the past.
Additional questions, but I'm ready to move the motion. Madam
Perfect.
Chair.
Thank you.
All right, so Madam Chair, I move for the approval of non-restricted item 1 with a condition as shown on the agenda, as was read into the record by Madam Secretary, Ms. Nicole Rupert, and as recommended by the Gaming Control Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And there are none opposed. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here again.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to yourselves and to the Sartinis and the Protels.
Yes.
Happy
Thank you for
holidays.
being here.
Cheers. Good luck.
Madam Secretary, if you could please read in non-restricted number 2.
Non-restricted number 2 are the applications of ECL Water Street LLC doing business as Rainbow Club Casino and ECL Water Street LLC doing business as Emerald Island Casino for a non-restricted gaming license and for licensure as a manufacturer and distributor. It is also the applications of Ronald Winchell and Mark Falcone for licensure as a member and manager. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Judge, members of the commission, Madam Executive Secretary, board membership, investigations. John Moran III, 1700 Pavilion Center Circle up in Summerlin with the law firm of Clark Hill representing the applicant entity ECL Water Street on non-restricted number 2. Also appearing are our players, Mr. Ron Winchell and Mr. Mark Falcone. They'll be here to speak to questions in the event or answers in the event there are questions by board membership. Judge, one thing I wanted to correct on the record quickly. Last time I appeared in front of you, I had indicated your attendance at Hyde Park 50 years ago, and I wanted to say that was actually 15 years ago, not 50 years ago. I think.
And I didn't jump up and slap.
Good call to clear the record.
I kind of sensed a little hostility.
How do you go to Hyde Park before you're born?
That's
I'm just
exactly
curious.
right, Your Honor. In any event, I do have the pleasure today of representing these 2 applicants on this item. We had appeared in front of the Gaming Control Board about 2 weeks ago as of yesterday. There were a series of conditions that were discussed and placed and agreed upon by my clients and my friends, both Mr. Falcone and Mr. Winchell, one of which was the compliance plan and the construction of a compliance unit and committee based on the sizing and scoping of this particular entity and the business that both Mr. Winchell and Mr. Falcone are moving forward in the gaming industry, not just here in Nevada, but also all over the United States, New Hampshire, and then also Kentucky. We are in the process of putting that compliance plan together. We will be working with your compliance unit. That was one thing I wanted to update you on. There's a secondary item, and I'll let Mr. Winchell talk about keeping the employees on board. We are also keeping their C-suite in place as well. Mr. Brooks, who's an owner, also an individual vetted, he will be staying on board as our general manager for both of these locations. These locations, as you know, are in the city of Henderson. They're Group 1 licenses, and they are incredible locations. And I think that what is happening in Henderson is really quite incredible to see. And the business is quite incredible as well. The other item that we currently have, aside from the gaming compliance, is the condition that we have on, and if I may, if I can have the court's indulgence really 1 second. One other thing that we had was, well, we'll pass on that. We agree to the conditions that are currently before you. We ask that you approve with those conditions. And I think that there was one item on the loan package that needed to be provided. We are in the process of providing that, and we will provide that to the chairman. Once that is completed, we're looking at a January 5th close of escrow. So with that, we'll go ahead and submit. We don't have any more of an affirmative presentation today. And I think everything that you have is currently documented in the transcript from the Gaming Control Board earlier this month.
Okay. And
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Did you want to introduce us to, not let
Yes,
them say
Mr.
anything?
Winchell here, Mr. Ron Winchell with Jackpot Jonies and ECL Water Street. He is here. He can put his name in the record as well. And then we also have Mr. Mark Falcone. They're joint venture partners. They've known each other for quite some time. They've worked on multiple projects on the East Coast together successfully. I think that you're going to see a lot more action from them. They're contemplating many other deals all over the world, not just in the United States and not just in Nevada, but I think that you'll find that they are a commodity and they will be a force to be not reckoned with in the future.
Okay, thank you for that. Well, welcome back to this room, and we appreciate you being here today. This time, I'm going to open it up for my colleagues for any questions or comments. Who would like to start?
I can. Thank you for being in front of us today, Mr. Winchell, Mr. Falcone, two very distinguished, exemplary persons in various industries, not just the gaming industry. So it's a delight to have you here. I was very satisfied with this whole process. I wonder, Mr. Winchell, how much time you have to split between all of these various responsibilities you have, not the least of which is the thoroughbred operation.
Good morning, members, members of the commission. Ron Winchell. To answer your question, you know, I kind of split them up as I go where I'm needed. And, you know, businesses rely on good people. And, you know, if you have good people in place, then things go smoothly. And when things don't go smoothly, it's usually people related. So that's where we usually find our time spent, people situations. But most of the time, things run pretty good and we just go where we're needed.
Well, the most encouraging thing has been that the treatment of the team members as part of this transaction. So thank you for that. That means a lot to all of us on the commission. And thank you for that. I wish you the best in the 2024 Breeders' Cup.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Brown?
Thank you, Chair. I'm quite impressed with the experience you have between the both of you, and it's so varied. I mean, I don't want to say it's a hobby because it's a business clearly with the horses. It's pretty impressive. And you have 24 years of experience in gaming and over 40 licenses. I mean, that's a huge deal. I mean, it's impressive to have you in front of us. And Mr. Falcone, the favorite thing about you is not only the Wall Street experience, but the director of a beer garden. I'm from Munich, Germany, so beer garden is a big deal to me. So I have respect. I think you both bring so much to the table together, and you're just a wonderful team, and you just fill in for each other and probably complete each other's sentences. Just very happy that you're maintaining and preserving the integrity of the employees and the management, and that you're keeping Mr. Brooks, who's one of the former owners. I think that will help with the continuity and, you know, the smooth transition and the revitalization of Henderson. I think downtown Henderson is very important to Nevada, and I'm just impressed with what you've done, and I can't wait to see what you do in the future. I don't have any areas of concern. I have no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Krolicki.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Mr. Moran. Good morning, gentlemen. I'm going to pile on, but it's in a good way. Again, your record, not only in Nevada, but beyond, has been great. Fascinating a portfolio of things that you do. And I have no concerns about the application. I'm also excited, and as Mr. Moran suggested, the future expansion opportunities. I think you've discussed that briefly in front of the Gaming Control Board, but you know, it's all good, very comfortable, and you know, good on all of you.
I echo the comments of my colleagues. I'm very pleased to have you here today and appreciate you coming in. We're always happy to hear about keeping employees, and that Mr. Brooks, with his, you know, I think you said 12 years at the hearing, 12 years previous ownership is, you trust him and you have that relationship. I think that's a recipe for success, and I support these applications. So, so I think at this time, the matters.
Madam Chair, just
go ahead.
Question. There were a considerable number of conditions, and Ms. Moran, you started to talk about them, but you're satisfied with all the conditions and comfortable and accept what's before us today and what's been read into the record?
Yes, through the chair, obviously, to former Lieutenant Governor Krolicki. Yes, we agree to the standard conditions, obviously, that were written up and agreed upon in front of the Gaming Control Board 2 weeks ago. And then there are also some just standardized questions or conditions that apply to each of the individual locations, both the Emerald Island and the Rainbow Casino. And we agree to those as well. And we're in the process of working through those. One other thing that I wanted to point out, I didn't want to take too much of your time this morning, and I really tried to keep it short. Ron said to try to keep it to 5 sentences, so I was having a hard
Billable hour.
time
That's
doing that
not
as a lawyer. It's billing by the minute. But anyway, we are working very, very close, and I think this is a very important thing to bring up to the board as well. We're working closely with current ownership on the changeover plan, and we've been working on that for the last 6 weeks. That will be submitted in or has been submitted in the last week, and I think it's satisfactory to your agency, the audit division, with Andrew Batt and folks over in that division. So that's another thing that I think that you wanted to know as we move forward. But hopefully we'll take over first of the year, and it'll be clean, and we'll go into calendar year 2024 with these new opportunities and all of the neat things that these two gentlemen bring to this industry in general, and what they will bring to Henderson and these two specific properties in particular.
Perfect.
And one more item, just for clarity of the record in connection with the conditions, the minimum internal controls will be adopted that were previously promulgated.
Yes,
Okay.
and obviously through the chair to Commissioner Brown. We have our mix in place. They are version 9 compliant. We are adopting the compliant version of mix from the former team management ownership. We currently have those ready to go. They're not going to look any different than what we submitted or what the prior ownership submitted in June, I think, of this year.
It was, yes.
And we're also working again with Andrew Batt and the audit division because of the Group 1 license nature of these two businesses. But yeah, we're on our way on that too.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that clarification for the record.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anything else? All right, there being nothing else,
Madam Chair, I'd be delighted to make a motion, and that is to approve non-restricted item number 2 as read into the record by Madam Secretary with the conditions as presented and recommended for approval by the Gaming Control Board.
any discussion on the motion?
Thank you.
There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Congratulations.
Judge, happy holidays to all of you and your family.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
You
Moran.
too.
Thank you.
Good to see you. All right. We are now on non-restricted 5, correct?
Correct.
All right, Madam Secretary, if you could please read that into the record.
Non-restricted number 5 are the applications of Bilbray Gaming LLC for licensure as an operator of a slot machine route and for licensure as a manufacturer and distributor. It is also the applications of Robert P. Bilbray Revocable Trust, the Ashland M. Sain Separate Property Trust, and Robert Bilbray for licensure as a member or manager as noted on the agenda. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dennis Gutwald with the law firm of McDonald Carano. With me is Ashland Sains and Robert Bilbray. And with your permission, I'll have Ashland tell you a little bit about herself and what they're going to do with the business, and then have Robert tell you about himself.
We would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning. For the record, Sainz, S-A-I-N-Z. I tell you a little bit about myself and then tell you the reasoning behind starting Bilbray Gaming LLC. Grew up in Laughlin, grew up in the gaming family. My dad already was licensed by the time I was born. So gaming and slot machines around there, you know what I mean? I grew up with all that. We have went to K through 12th in Laughlin, went to undergrad at University of San Diego, where I got my bachelor's degree in real estate. I graduated in 2010 and the market was not the best. So family friend of Harry Reid called, and I went and worked with DC with Senator Reid for a few years until Dad called and was ready for general manager and needed some help back at home. So in 2011, I came back and worked for RB Properties, who's been licensed since 1985 in the state here. I've been licensed since I was, 24 years old, and I've been before you 5 times in 11 years. So, right now we have 4 taverns in Laughlin, 2 gas stations. I also manage a 68,000 square foot warehouse, and then we have a bunch of raw land as well. Today, Bilbray Gaming initiated with more of an estate planning and really not knowing where the bars and the gaming industry was going to go in my lifetime, and really separating the gaming and the bars and the operations was important to me. So that initiated the slot route operator's license and what we're going for today. Now we don't have any local slot route operators based out of Laughlin. They're all based here out of the Valley. And so it kind of has spun into, we're proud and able to offer a service in Laughlin, and we're excited about what the future holds and prospective clients. So thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hard time.
For the record, Robert Bilbray, Bilbray. Just a brief background of my history. I first came to Nevada after graduating from undergraduate at University of San Diego with an accounting major. And then I proceeded on to University of San Diego Law School. While I was in law school, I worked for Touche Ross and Pete Marwick, two national CPA firms and their tax departments. I graduated with an accounting degree right after passing the bar in California in 1973. I was encouraged by Jim Bilbray and his father, Jim Bilbray, to come to Nevada, and I took the bar and passed it and joined the firm of Jones, Close, Bilbray, Kaufman. And then after that, in 1974, former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Mark Gibbons, and I became partners. And until I moved to Laughlin full-time in 1985, and I sold practice to Mr. Gibbons. Obviously, over the last month, and the loss of our founder, Don Laughlin's been very tough for both my relationship with Don and Betty and Ashland's relationship. But we'll overcome it. The community's ready to move on, and but he'll always be remembered by myself as the founder. I'll always be given credit, and so will the entire Laughlin family. I think it's kind of time that Laughlin came out of just being a retirement community. I'm the strategic development advisor for our nonprofit, Laughlin Economic Development. I spend an incredible amount of time over the last 15, 20 years in building the school, the educational base, the faith base, the parks and recreation. There's not much that I haven't had the honor to be part of. And I look forward to continuing to do that. I feel Ashland's matured to the point of being able to meet a service need that we feel is existing right now, and hopefully it will grow. If the board has any other questions, I'll be glad to.
Well, thank you very much for being here. I think starting with USD forward, following in footsteps is to a whole new level right here. Whole new level. Very impressive. My condolences, and I'm sure our condolences on the loss of Mr. Laughlin. I can imagine that's very difficult, but the future is bright. The future is bright. So with that said, I'm going to open it up for any questions or comments. Starting with Commissioner Marcantonis.
Thank you for being here. And I echo, of course, Chair's comments. I was very satisfied with the NGC presentation. We wish you all the best, all of you, and thank you for your contributions, not just in business, but also to the society. Thank you.
Commissioner Brown.
Thank you for your appearance today. I was very happy to meet you in person. I watched the presentation in front of the board, and I'll echo the sentiments of Member Watkins about, father and daughter getting to work together and this legacy family you've created. It's so heartwarming to see that, and you seem very entrenched in the family business, and I'm happy to see you looking forward and strategizing and pivoting with the application that's before us today. I think it's so important to stay current and to stay relevant. And Mr. Bilbray, I really do commend you for your work with the Laughlin Economic Development Group in terms of educating and caring about culture and society. I think it's so important to be involved in something like that and to give back. It's not just about making money and making a profit. You've been spending over a decade giving back to that. So I commend you for your work on that. And thank you so much for appearing in front of us today. Absolutely no areas of concern. And I wish you both the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome. It's a pleasure. The Bilbray family has certainly been part of the fabric and essence of Southern Nevada, and certainly Laughlin. thank you for the equity that you've put into this place. Family operation is wonderful, but it's always got its challenges. So good luck on that. I think I would drive my daughters crazy if we did those things. But yeah, very sweet.
I drive the
it
boat,
makes-
he finances the boat. We got we're good.
It's what an exciting, opportunity and career you have in front of you. If this is what you continue to do, but well done. I have certainly no issues of concern, and as everyone else has said, the passing of Mr. Laughlin is one of those pivotal moments in the story of Laughlin and Southern Nevada and that gaming. But I know you move beyond, and as Madam Chair said, make it even better and brighter. Very exciting opportunity, and I'm delighted to support your applications today. One question. Sorry, that was a way to end it, and I should have asked a question before. Could you describe, I know you don't have plans to use them, but the licensure for manufacturing and distribution, I'm not quite sure what that would mean. Maybe Mr. Goodwald would
I'll address that. The licensing for manufacturing is just in case they decide to modify their machines in some way that reaches the level of being treated as a manufacturer. It's very commonly done with non-restricted applications throughout the state. It's just a safety mechanism when they modify the machines. The distributor's license is for the sale of used machines. And that's it. They're used machines.
Prophylactic.
Yeah.
Prophylactic measure.
And I accept that. So I'll end again on the high note. Congratulations. Delighted to support.
Well, again, thank you for being here. At this point, it sounds like we have unanimous support for the upcoming motion. Would you like to make that motion?
Yes, I just have one more question.
Oh, sure.
Just wanted to ensure for the record that the conditions have been reviewed and they're acceptable. Thank you. I'm prepared to make a motion, Chair. I move for approval of non-restricted item number 5 as recommended by the Gaming Control Board and is read into the record by Madam Secretary with the conditions as reviewed and accepted by the applicants.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And there are none opposed. Thank you very much.
Well done.
Happy
Happy holidays.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, could you please read in non-restricted number 6?
Non-restricted number 6 is the application of Lori Nelson for finding of suitability as an officer at Boyd Gaming Corporation. Recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval, and I believe we have a disclosure on this item.
Thank you so much. Yes, I do have a disclosure. Boyd Gaming Corp is adverse to a client of Louis Roca serving as local counsel, the firm where I'm a partner, in which matters I'm not personally involved. I'm also making this disclosure because my sister is a corporate paralegal with Boyd Gaming and she works with Yuri Clinton. I have no pecuniary interest in the outcome of this agenda item, and I do not believe the independence of judgment of a reasonable person in my position would be affected by the relationship described on the record, and I therefore intend to participate. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Togliatti, members of the commission, Madam Secretary. For the record, Greg Giordano, the law firm McDonald Carano, appearing on behalf of Boyd Gaming Corporation with the applicant, Lori Nelson. She is the Senior Vice President, Financial Operations and Reporting, as well as the Chief Accounting Officer for Boyd Gaming Corporation. With your permission, I'd like to ask Ms. Nelson to provide you with a brief summary of her background and work history and so forth, and we can be happy to take questions after that.
Great. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, fellow commissioners, and Madam Secretary. I am Lori Nelson, Senior Vice President of Financial Operations and Reporting and Chief Accounting Officer. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Iowa, went to school at the University of Northern Iowa, where I received my bachelor's in accounting. I am a CPA. I started my career in public accounting, and I guess you could say I got a little bit lucky in getting into the gaming industry because several of my clients were gaming clients. I then took a job with one of my clients, actually opened the property in North Central Iowa as Director of Finance. The company I was with continued to grow, and so moved back to their corporate office and held a role as a corporate financial reporting director, SEC reporting, statutory reporting. In 2012, Boyd Gaming acquired the properties that I was with. I've been with Boyd Gaming ever since and have continued to grow with that company as that company has continued to expand. I moved out here in 2017, so coming up on 7 years, and My current role, I've got oversight of our financial shared services team. We provide support to all of our properties, accounting, our general ledger, accounts payable, payroll, anything that helps support our properties in the accounting space, day-to-day treasury, cash management, our financial reporting, corporate tax, and FP&A, financial planning and analysis, and workforce planning. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
I'll start with Commissioner Krolicki this time, excuse me.
Thank you. I'm feeling lonely down here without my colleague.
Hello, do you have any questions?
Wiggle down. You know, this is just one of those nice stories. This is a very positive meeting today, and you're just a wonderful addition to it. I love the Midwest values. I'm a Missouri guy, so we have, you know, all of those things. But no, I love the credentials. I love your career story. Someday I should talk to you about running for state treasurer. But no, this is a wonderful application, be a wonderful addition to the gaming community in those roles that you'll be stepping up in. Congratulations.
Commissioner Brown.
Thank you. Welcome, and thank you so much for coming today. Did you live at the Suncoast for 2 months when you first moved? Okay,
yes.
I wanted to make sure I read that right. How
Yes,
was
I
that,
did.
living there for 2 months?
Kids loved it.
I'm sure.
Bowling alley, movie theater.
You didn't have to cook?
in their backyard.
Stayed away from the gaming area.
That's right. That's right.
So you're currently licensed in Kansas, Indiana, Pennsylvania, and I believe you have a gaming license application that's still pending in Louisiana. Has that been approved or is that still pending?
That is still pending to my knowledge.
And you started off as a staff accountant with Deloitte 21 years ago.
That is correct.
And look at you now. You should be really proud of yourself. And what a great trajectory. And I can't say this every day, but I understand you served as the Sarbanes-Oxley manager at Diamond Joe Casino in
Yes.
Dubuque. I mean, what a cool title. And it seems like you have such well-rounded experiences that you bring to the table. And I commend you for being a strong woman and coming to the table and at such a leadership position. And I have no areas of concern, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Marcantonis.
I think that very little has been left to be said about your amazing background. And I echo everybody else's thoughts. Congratulations. You're in a fine company. When you mentioned you stayed in the, as we know, you stayed in the hotel and you said the kids loved it, but that's the room service side, isn't it?
That is true. Yes.
And I had the same thing when my kids were young. They just think room service is like some kind of magic thing. You just phone someone and food appears.
Yes. Yes. It probably helped too when we picked them up from school. It was snowing in Iowa, and the next day we were in Las Vegas with 80 degrees and the pool outside, right? So that helped too.
Oh, that's great. I will have no problem supporting. In fact, I'll be enthusiastic to support this application. Thank you, Madam Chair.
As will I. You do have a remarkable background, and we are thrilled to be having this hearing, and we appreciate, you have a lot of experience in licensing, and I know it can be tedious to come twice and to go through all of this, but we all sincerely appreciate the opportunity to meet you and talk to you. So thank you.
Same to all
And at
of you.
this time, does anyone have any other questions or comments?
I'm happy to move, Your Honor. I'm sorry, Chair. I've known you as the judge for so many years.
Okay.
I always want to show respect. Chair, I move for approval of non-restricted item number 6 as recommended by the Gaming Control Board and is read into the record by Madam Secretary.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And there are none opposed. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. Happy
Thank you.
holidays to all of you.
Congratulations.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Yes, it is. All right, Madam Secretary, if you could please read in our next non-restricted item number 8.
Non-restricted number 8 is the application of Daniel Scramenti for licensure as an officer at Incredible Technologies, Inc. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda.
Good morning, Chair Tagliati, Commissioners, Madam Secretary, Sean McGinnis with Butler Snow on behalf of Incredible Technologies. To my right is Dan Scramenti, and I thought it'd be most appropriate just sort of turn it over to him to give a little background and bio on himself and how it came to be in the position.
Great. Thank you. Good morning.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for having me here today. Dan Scramenti, born and raised in Chicagoland area, went to Illinois State University, got a degree in marketing with aspirations to be in sports marketing. Got a job, first job at Chicago White Sox in marketing, which led me to moving out of sports marketing immediately and move into games, actually. So been with Incredible Technologies now 20 years. As crazy as that is to say, started on the product side. We are a privately held company, female-owned, Midwestern company. Long tenure of our employees who've been there a long time, myself included. So at 2011, we got into the gaming industry. I was a part of the team on the product side and just fell in love with the business. And since then have moved on from the head of sales to the president of gaming position that I'm in now. So I'm honored and proud to represent our company here today, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm about to become very familiar with the city of Chicago, or at least over the next 4 years, since I have a kid that just got accepted to a school there, and I've never been to Chicago. I've been to the airport,
yeah,
but I've never been.
I can tell you there's a lot of flights between here and there.
Yeah.
I go back and forth often.
Yes, we all watched the board meeting, and didn't you have a discussion about that?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's great to have you here today. Thank you for being here. I'm going to go ahead and open it up, as I usually do, to my colleagues for any questions or comments. I'll start with Commissioner Krolicki this time, if he doesn't mind.
Delighted to. Thank you. Welcome to Nevada. I have no issues. I too thoroughly enjoyed the conversations. We've dwelled. It's Judge Assad's desire regularly to discuss the sports angle. So I particularly enjoyed the White Sox adventure. Sorry that didn't work out, but good on Nevada and gaming that you are now in the slot. You will love Chicago. It's a wonderful city, except on a cold, windy day.
Yeah,
that's when it's tough. And fully support. Welcome.
Thank you.
Very impressive.
Thank you. Commissioner Marcantonis?
Nothing further today, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know what the record is, but are you actually licensed in 126 jurisdictions?
Yes. And most of those have gone on this year. That part of the process, I was named officer in the company about a year ago. I was licensed about half of those prior to that. So it's been a busy year. So this is a good way to end it right before the holidays.
Well, the gold standard is a great way to end it.
It is.
You don't even look like you have any PTSD.
Yeah, not yet. My beard's a little gray, though. It's happening.
That is remarkable. What an accomplishment. And to think that you started as a marketing associate
Yes.
20 years ago.
Yes. It makes it easy when you love the products, though. I really do love the products that we work on in this business. And I love the people that I've met throughout that I work with.
I think your passion and loyalty have really paid off. And I have to say, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that when I watched you in front of the board, and as I'm watching you here today, you've said on both occasions that it's a female-owned company, and it's a point of pride for you. And I thank you for leading with that foot, because it's important to recognize that. And it's not every day that you can work for a company like this that's female-owned. It's kind of an anomaly. So very impressive. I did have one question for you that I thought was interesting. It seems like you obtained your Master's of Business Administration from 2011 to 2013, and that's about 10 years after you graduated from your bachelor. So what prompted you to 10 years later get another degree?
So right around that time is when our company got into gaming, and I had gotten an opportunity to be part of that leadership team. I knew I needed to kind of sharpen some skills and do things like that. I did it at night, like many people do, and it kind of gets you ready for that next wave of work that has to then happen. But it now feels like a lifetime ago. But yes, thanks for noticing.
Well, I commend you for doing that. A lot of people say they don't have time, but what you've really done is improved yourself and become a bigger asset to the company. So well done. And I'm very happy to support your application today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I too am happy to support your application, and I echo the comments of my colleagues. I don't know if 126 licenses is a record, but it's got to be close. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Good to know.
So good on you.
And he's still smiling.
Yeah.
Right. So we appreciate you being here. At this time, I'm going to call for a motion.
Chair, I move for approval of non-restricted item number 8 as recommended by the Gaming Control Board and is read into the record by Madam Secretary.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And there are none opposed. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank
We
you very
appreciate
much.
the opportunity to meet
Appreciate
you.
Happy holidays.
Good luck and
Thank
happy
you.
holidays.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
He just increased the world record of licensors by one.
I know. Mind blowing. All right, at this time, we are at the restricted items held out for discussion. Madam Secretary, if you could read in restricted number 1.
Restricted number 1 is the application of BBH Enterprise LLC doing business as Apache Joe's for restricted gaming license, and the application of Dylan Hamika for licensure as a member and manager. Recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda.
Okay, and the record should reflect Commissioner Solis Rainey is present and will be participating in all matters here from this point forward in discussion and vote. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for being here today.
Of course, thank you.
If you could just state your name for, I mean, we know who you are, but if you could state your name for the record and because it's being transcribed.
Yes, my name is Dylan Hamika, Hamika.
And we appreciate you being here today. Did you have anything, did you wish to make a statement to us, or do you just want to open yourself up for questions, if you will?
I'm always open to questions, but I just had one thing pertaining the 2-year limited license. I just wanted to know more about it and to kind of be a little more educated on the topic of the 2-year limited license, because I understand that I feel I haven't done anything wrong. I don't have any, like, I feel like I haven't done any felony. I haven't done anything. I just
Well, it's not about, you know, it's not about felonies. It's about, you know, experience and, you know, life experience, work experience, all of those kinds of things. It's, you know, when you say felony, it's almost like, you know, there's a right being taken away when you're a felon, like you lose your right to vote for some period of time, or you lose your right to hold certain jobs or whatever. This is not a right, right? It's a privilege.
Yes.
And so I can't give you legal advice or gaming advice. It seemed pretty clear to me what it means. What it means is, and I thought the board explained it to you very well because I watched that meeting, but if you have, you know, the dynamic of it is if the board, if you're asking us to revisit that, that is a different issue, but explaining it to you, I don't really understand what you don't understand.
No, it's just like revisiting it. That's more what I meant, because I have many family members who were approved for gaming. My brother, he was approved for 15 machines in his bar when he was 21 years old. So that's why I was just a little, because I've just never seen it before. That's why. And they did an amazing job explaining it to me because I didn't know when I came in. So that's why I just wanted to touch base on a little bit more.
Okay, well, what I would say is I can't speak to the board and what they do and decide and why, although I think they made an exceptional record on that. This group, you know, as far as comparing and contrasting people and ages and timing and everything else, every single one of us is appointed by a governor, right, to be here. We have our own independent thoughts, independent concerns, independent issues, and we are supposed to take our independent professional judgment, our moral compasses, and everything that we kind of bring to the table to make decisions. So we can't, it's like, for me, when you talk about your brother's an apple and you're an orange. And the reason that is because there was 3 different people over there and 5 different people over here, right? So what I would suggest is rather than focus on what you might perceive as some unfairness or not being treated the same when you're similarly situated, which I understand why you feel that way, but it's not going to change what's going to happen necessarily because everybody up here is different.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what I would suggest is if you like us to revisit it, you know, other than telling us this didn't happen to other people. Okay, well, I don't know your brother and I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Not to be rude.
No, I completely
right?
understand.
So
You're
tell us
100%.
about you and what it is about was said to you at that meeting that you feel you can explain to the commission here how you feel you can reassure or supplement or just, you know, address in any way you want.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And I 100% agree with you. But the big thing is I understand the experience. I understand I'm 21 years of age. I've been working for my father's businesses for a little over 3 years now. I've been exposed to gaming for 3 years, but I've been actually working with gaming for the past around 8 months now. Once I turned 21, my father's always been showing me how the machines work, everything. And once I turned 21, I was able to help him if there were any issues with the machines, because I know the topics, like I know how to fix like bill validators, how to replace the screen if there was something wrong. These things are my experience with the 8 months that I've had, because that's the most I could have turning 21 on April 16th. So it's been around that time that I've had the experience with game. So that's all I wanted to touch base on.
Okay, that's fair. I think that my colleagues will have questions or comments potentially. So at the end, before there's any motion made, if you have anything additional you want to say, we'll give you that opportunity, because there might be, something that you think of. But I'm going to open it up. Who would like to start if there's any questions or comments? Commissioner Brown.
Thank you very much for appearing in front of us today. I very much enjoyed the presentation with you, and your father came up as well to almost give like a letter of recommendation reference. And I understand that you have a lot of family support, but you are the applicant in front of us. And I just hope you understand this is not a punishment to the extent I don't know how anybody else is feeling about that, but it's more about protecting the gaming industry and keeping an eye on somebody who really has no experience, no substantive experience, other than I think you said 8 months and observing gaming. I mean, this is 15 slot machines. This is a heavily regulated industry. When I heard questions posed upon you about human resources, taxes, gaming, the regulatory compliance class, you haven't even taken that yet. I know you signed up for it, and I was impressed that you knew the date. You're a very serious young man. You are committed. You are hardworking, and I can see a bright future for you. So please don't compare yourself to anyone else. I don't know the experience of the other people who you brought as an example that appeared as applicants at that time. I don't know how they were different, but really I can only focus on the record before me and the person before me.
Absolutely.
And that's you. So please don't take this as an insult. I don't want you to feel like you have failed in any way. This is a huge accomplishment. So don't be defensive about us wanting to make sure in 2 years that everything is under control, that you're handling everything well on the gaming side, on the HR side, on the tax side, on the regulatory side. These are very important issues. And so I have no doubt that in 2 years you will come before whoever sits in front of you on the Gaming Commission and the Control Board, and you will knock everyone's socks off and say, look how much I've learned. Thank you for keeping an eye on me. And I don't think there will likely be a condition in the future, but if something happens, that's my job. And so please don't view this as a punishment. I am very impressed with you. I think you should be very proud of yourself, and I hope you don't walk out of here to the extent, I don't know how anyone else is going to vote, but I defer to the board. I listened to the presentation, and because you really don't have extensive experience on the categories that I listed within the rubric of those very important issues, you'll get the experience. You're young, you're only 21. When I was your age, I think I was waiting tables. So this is huge. This is a huge accomplishment. I was here, and this is where you are, because you have a family to support you, and I'm so impressed with you, and you're very lucky, and you're very privileged. So I'm not worried about you, but I do want to keep some sort of oversight, and I'm not punishing you.
No,
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Thank you. I
please
really
take it
appreciate
that's
I
that
do.
and
I
nothing
will.
else.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have anything to add for me?
No,
Okay.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay, what about Commissioner Marcantonis?
Yes, one point, and I think that you have a great work ethic, and I agree what my fellow commissioners have been saying, but seasoning comes with time and experience. And we've made the comment that we're protecting our industry, but we're also trying to protect you. And sometimes you need a body like ourselves that can channel you and warn you of things that may crop up, or try to anticipate them long before they do. And there will be a time when you will probably look back at this meeting and other experiences that you'll have, life experiences, and say, thank goodness that happened. So happy holidays. Keep your chin up, and remember the glass is half full always.
Sir, thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Solis Rainey.
Hi, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I had a couple questions aside from, I agree with the things that have been said, but substantively, I don't know if I missed it in the board meeting, but how many hours are you working currently
Currently,
for your dad?
I am currently working, there's not a set amount of hours, but I am working 6 days a week, sometimes 7 for my father's businesses. I am just constantly, anytime he needs me, I'm just his secondhand man, checking surveillance cameras, delivering payroll, making sure everything's in proper running condition, making sure that the shelves are stocked, everything, all the product is on there for display, making sure the machines are, taking the bills the right way and they're not dispersing anything.
Are you paid hourly or are you salaried?
Salary.
About how many hours a week do you work in total?
I'd say around 40.
And you're taking 4 classes, correct?
I'm taking 4 classes at UNLV, all online.
Online. What, how close are you to graduation? Are you in the upper?
I should be graduating spring of 2025. So.
Okay, so you haven't gotten into the upper division classes for the most part.
I took my first one this past semester, so I have 12 classes left. So
do you expect that the availability of the online classes is going to continue? Because my understanding is that they're somewhat pulling back on those.
Yes, I currently have. I actually just submitted my admission to the major, so I will be majoring in finance. So I currently have 4 classes all in the cart waiting to be enrolled into, and they're all online. So
for this upcoming semester.
For this upcoming semester,
Correct.
yes.
Yeah, just be prepared as you move on. You may not have that option.
Yeah, absolutely.
To go
Yeah.
all online. I share the concerns. Honestly, I think your background is impressive. I think you've accomplished a tremendous amount, as has been said, but you don't have the experience, and we're assessing your business probity and what you know. One of the concerns, not concerns, but one of the things that was addressed was your knowledge of taxes, human resources, things. And I understand that you have a longtime CPA that's handling that. But I wanted to caution you that at the end of the day, that would be your responsibility.
Absolutely.
So even though you haven't done it, this is what this time is for, because you need to oversee it and you need to understand it. Because if something happens and something that doesn't get done correctly, the last thing we want is for you to come forward and say, oh, well, they did it. No, we're going to look to you to be responsible for whatever is done, not done. So it's important that you take the time to learn those things. And generally, I would prefer that you know those things before we awarded anybody the privilege of a gaming license. So it is a huge privilege. And it's something, like I said, everything you've done and your hard work and the fact that you do have so much family support helps me to overcome your personal lack of experience. But it is by no means, even a limited license, in my mind, wasn't a slam dunk. So don't take anything out of it that it's in any way negative. To the extent that this group agrees to give you a license at all, I think you should be very proud of yourself and make the most of it and take the time to learn the things that you need to, because those are things that, whether you have to do these things personally and do them, be the one to file taxes, you need to know how it's done, when they're due, what they're based on, make sure they're being computed properly. So you can't just blindly sign off on what somebody else is doing.
Of course.
So I don't have anything further.
Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome. You've heard a lot of wisdom coming from the rostrum up here, and I hope you've heard it, and I believe you absolutely have. There are folks who come in front of us who don't have gaming experience, but this is, again, the portfolio of skills, and it's really your youth, which I'm jealous of, that I think puts the 2-year, collar on this. But I have no doubt that, you succeed. The family opportunity and the support you have is extraordinary. I mean,
thank you.
And good on you. As you've heard several times now, you're the licensee, not your dad, not your brother. It's you who are responsible. So take our advice and conditions in a positive way. As Commissioner Brown said, my term, I think, for another 2 years or so. So perhaps I will be here, and I can't wait for you to tell me all the good things, and impressive story you've had and your experiences. So I look forward to that day, and I fully support what we're doing today with the conditions as suggested, recommended by the Gaming Control Board.
Thank you.
I don't have anything to add. Excuse me, I didn't turn on my microphone. I don't have anything to add. You know, I understand when you compare and contrast yourself to other folks and your brother that you might feel that this is punitive, but I just have to say the same thing everybody else did. 21 and a gaming license, you should be skipping out of here. Skipping out of here.
Yeah.
I would literally be skipping out of
Yeah.
here. Okay, so you know, I'm gonna vote. You're gonna get unanimous support. The only way this doesn't happen in 2 years is if you make a mistake, right? So that's not gonna happen. And you know, I wish you the best of luck, and I'm gonna call for a motion at this time.
May I just two things?
Sure.
I do note that during the board hearings, there was a recommendation that you retain counsel, gaming counsel. I don't know if you've since spoken to gaming counsel. I know that you didn't bring one with you today and you're very well spoken, but I do think you should consider at some point retaining gaming counsel to provide you with advice and have somebody at the ready to answer questions, separate and apart from your family, to have somebody who's licensed as an attorney and who specializes in gaming. I think that's a good idea.
If I may add,
Please.
Yes, that's absolutely an amazing idea, and thank you. Chris Barton with Golden Entertainment, he's kind of the person I call anytime I call him anytime, and he answers always, and he always helps me with any questions I have, and whether it's with gaming or anything, he's always available to help me.
Understood, but there's a difference between retaining your own attorney who's responsible to pick up the phone and answer your questions and give you advice. And then also, are you still planning, assuming we all approve, and I think we will, are you still planning on opening the first week of January?
Yes.
And I know you were looking to hire 10 employees. Do you have, I know you didn't want to give any of them firm commitments, but do you still have the management and certain people potentially lined up? Or are you still interviewing?
I'm still interviewing. I'm actually just listing on, like I said, I didn't want to promise anyone a position if I didn't know I could give it to them, making their jobs at risk. But I know what I will be doing and what I'm ready to do. I will be making the listing on Indeed. Like I say, with my family, they always help me. So my brother, he gave me advice. He's saying like, Indeed's a great source. We get a lot of applicants there and everything, even Craigslist or something. But I'm ready.
Wonderful. I'm ready to proceed. Thank you, Chair, for the indulgence.
I'm prepared to make a motion unless anybody has any questions. I move for approval of restricted item number 1 is read into the record by Madam Secretary and is recommended by the Gaming Control Board, including the 2-year limitation on the license.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
I'm not seeing a spring in your step.
Oh, much better.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Well, I mean, I want them to make me feel better. Not feel bad. All right. Good morning. Madam Secretary, if you could read in our next item.
Restricted number 3 is the application of JD Bar and Lounge LLC doing business as J Bar and Golf Lounge for a restricted gaming license. It is also the application for registration of Doe Gaming Trust as a holding company and for finding of suitability of Justin Doe as a trustee and beneficiary. We also have the applications of Doe Gaming Trust and Justin Doe for licensure as a member or manager as noted on the agenda. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda.
Morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission, Madam Secretary, Jeff Donato, enrolled agent. With me today is Mr. Doe, the applicant, applying for a restricted gaming license for a little unique business. It's approximately about 10,000 square feet, which will consist of a full restaurant with kitchen. It will have a physical bar with inside. It would also have 8 golf bays. And also within the bar tops, we are requesting to be able to put 5 machines. And with that, we will have Mr. Doe provide some information about himself.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I'm glad to be here, and thank you for allowing me to giving me a chance to pursue my next venture, living in USA for the last 23 years, moving from South Korea with my family. And I was some kind of electronic engineer, and I wasn't expecting to do this kind of business for, 20 years ago. But my wife insisted to move to USA. And I wasn't going to do it, but she kept insisting. So I have to listen to her. So that's the best thing I ever done in my life. So I'm
Marry
still,
her or listen to her?
so I'm still listening to her because of that. And then after a few years, I couldn't find a job based on my the education and career on by that year. So my wife started to do some business to leave financially. So she started in 2002 the restaurant business. And then I couldn't find any the permanent job, so I joined. But I really hate that business at the beginning. So I was trying to stay away from the business because it's just brand new and I knew nothing about it. But after a few months passed by, and I realized my financial status doesn't seems to be strong. So I start involved in that business. I started from the kitchen. And somehow I start liking those guys working hard and the dining section and kitchen section. So I start falling in love with this organization. So after that, I start extending second and third, fourth, and then this is my fifth venture. And I'm really excited and I'm fully confident. I get strong support from my existing 80 employees. So I get some connection here and there. So I'm really excited to get the slot machine, and which I was dreaming about from 10 years ago. So I'm ready to move on. So once again, thank you so much for giving me opportunity.
Thank you. And thank you for being here today.
If I could, Madam Chair, really quickly, he did indicate this is his fifth venture, but this is his first venture that will have gaming. Because this is his first venture with gaming, he has entered into a participation agreement with Sartini Gaming, in which they will be the licensed slot rod operator. We have reviewed the conditions and accept those. And with regards to the seminar, he has already registered and will be attending the seminar in January. And with that, we're here to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. I will open it up to my colleagues, starting with Commissioner Marcantonis. Do you have any questions or comments?
Only one. We have to be cautious. You have to be cautious, of course, on just how far you can stretch yourself when you have so many multiple business interests. Obviously, it's important knowing how many employees you have, that there are a lot of individuals who are relying on you, your success for their livelihoods. And that's important to us as a commission and for our industry. But I'm sure that you're cognizant of that and the fact that you cannot stretch yourself too far. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Brown?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Doe, welcome. It is such a pleasure to meet you. You are living the American dream. You're a success story.
Yes.
Hard work, dedication, family business. I really commend you for everything you've accomplished. And I'm so proud that you're in front of us today seeking your first restricted gaming license. And you seem confident in the success of this new venture. And it sounds very interesting. And I wish you all the luck. Are you still anticipating an opening? I think you said January or February?
End of January. The final inspection is scheduled on January 16, and then we may need like 2 weeks to prepare before the opening.
And are you pulling employees from the other locations? Are you getting new
Some of,
employees?
some
Okay,
of them,
it's a
or
mix.
most of them, my ex-employees.
Okay. And you're planning on spending all of your time here to get it up and running? And everyone else is, well-oiled machines in the other locations already. I anticipate you trust your management team and everybody else who's working with you. Okay, well, good luck. I have no areas of concern, and it sounds like an exciting new venture.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Can I ask a stupid question? So my only experience with, the golf, commercial golf is the Top Golf type of, having been there for a company party, but I don't golf. And it's very popular, obviously. And so so is this similar to that as far as the golf bay? Like, how does the golf bay work?
It is different. I'm a golfer too, but the Top Golf is just hitting ball and have fun. There's no kind of 18-hole playing golf. There's nothing in there. It's just like a driving range. You hit the ball to where you want it, but having fun with the drinking. And there are a lot of accidents because of that nature of the sports. But this one, you're playing 18-hole wherever you want. Like a Pebble Beach, you can log into Pebble Beach or some other top 100. This guy has a 350 golf course, mostly in USA, but some of them from international already downloaded. So you pick your course and then you play the real golf in the air conditioning condition.
Got it.
No wind, no snow.
That's kind of what I imagined it was like, but because obviously Top Golf takes a lot of space, right?
Yeah.
But I was just curious, like, how it actually works. So that's fascinating to me because I'm not a golfer. Although when I retire, I swear I'm going to learn.
Again, when you retire.
When I retire again.
You're never retiring.
When I retire again, I'm going to learn how to play golf. All right. Thank you for that. I was just curious. I'm going to open it up on this side for any questions or comments.
Welcome, Mr. Doe. Thank you for being here. And I echo the fact that you are living the American dream. And I love seeing that. It's a great country that gives opportunity to a lot of immigrants, myself included. And I always root for you to succeed. I had a question with respect to the supper club part of it. What kind of food are you planning to serve?
Food is mostly Asian fusion, some from Korea, some from Japan, some from like Italian. But not complicated because I can't keep with the high-end restaurant in casino. So it's make it simple and quick, cheap, affordable to the locals. That's my goal. Like some of the sushi rolls and Korean fried chicken, some Korean style rolls, and some pasta, some like quick steak, some kind.
Okay. How do you envision the flow? I understood that they were golf simulator based and generally around a golf. I don't golf either, but my husband does. It can take anywhere from, a couple, 2.5 hours, I think is the least amount of time he's played in, to 4 or 5 hours, depending on the flow. You won't have the flow issues, but how do you anticipate the flow of the game?
Yes, because of that, I decided to get strictly membership for the golf side. That's the way we can maintain the time frame based on the reservation.
Okay.
If you play by yourself, you can finish 18 hole in 1 hour.
Yeah.
If you get 4, it may take 2 hours,
right,
or 2.5 hours. So they got to make a reservation.
So they're basically going to make a tea time for the golf and then hopefully dine before or after.
Yes.
Are you expecting some customers to come in just for the dining?
Where?
Do you anticipate a percentage of the customers will come in just to eat?
Oh yeah. We have a pretty big dining section.
Okay. That's what I wasn't sure how the whole flow or the mix of customers would be. So some may be playing, other ones may just be dining, some may be at the bar hanging out playing your slot machines.
The dining section and the bar will do some buffering, waiting time, and then after the golf or before the golf, they can sit in the lounge where they can get a quick drink or quick food.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing it. Like I said, it's
Thank
always
you
nice
so
to have
much.
additional places to
Thank
go
you.
spend family time.
Thank you.
Commissioner Solosreni, you asked a great question. I hadn't really thought it through that way. But part of golf is talking about each shot and the banter in between. So,
Mhm.
I mean, 18 holes, and I am a golfer, but I'm a frustrated golfer. And with the weird job and kids, I took a sabbatical that I haven't returned from. So maybe with, if you can improve my golf game.
Yeah, I'll see you
we
over
might have
there.
to discuss. But timing and flow, I mean, those are great questions. So
That was. Yes.
so people don't pay for the 18-hole experience. They're paying for 7 to 8 p.m. or something. Is it just time certain? I mean, they have a reservation and they have 60 minutes, 120 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Normally, what we do is almost first time in Vegas, and there are a lot of them nationwide. They do by hourly charge, like an hour, like $50 to $70, depends on weekend or weekdays. And then when you have a more friends or more family member, you may extend it. So that's how they do it.
Because 8 bays isn't, I mean, it's a lot, but it's not a lot, if it becomes really popular, and how to allocate that. But that's a good problem for you to have to deal with. So I wasn't going to ask any questions until we digressed, and I thought that was great.
Yeah.
But I have no questions. I wish you the best of luck. Congratulations on marrying your wife, who gave you great advice. It's a beautiful holiday story, and good on you. And I look forward to learning about your success.
Thank you so much.
If you can help me with my golf game, good on you.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any other questions or comments? Does anyone have a motion?
I move for approval of restricted item number 3 is read into the record by Madam Secretary and is recommended and conditioned by the Gaming Control Board.
All right, any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you very much for being here today. It's very interesting listening
Thank
to
you
you.
very much. Happy holidays to the
Happy
commission.
holidays.
To the
Thank you.
board and to staff. And I'd also like to thank Agent Lombardo for all his hard work during the investigation process.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck, Mr. Doe.
All right, Madam Secretary, if you could please read in restricted number 4.
Restricted number 4 is the application of Liberty Automotive LLC doing business as Liberty Mart for a restricted gaming license, and the application of Haroon Rashid for licensure as a member and manager. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you state your name for I mean, we know who you are, but could you state your name for the record?
Haroon Rashid.
Thank you. Okay, so would you like to make any introductory comments, or would you just want to make yourself available to answer questions? What's your preference?
I'm available for questions.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions in this matter? How about, I'll start with Commissioner Kralicki.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's all very straightforward. Watching your testimony in front of the Gaming Control Board, you're going to be spending a lot of hours, at least the 40 hours a week to be on property. I'm very comfortable to support your application. We don't have questions.
Thank you.
Commissioner Solus-Rainey.
I also don't have any questions. You have a lot on your plate. So, but I was comfortable that you could manage it based on the comments that you made previously. So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brown.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, ma'am.
So you expect to be at this location for 35 to 40 hours a week?
Yes, I manage my both business pretty much full time. So I am full time there.
So you're splitting your time between your other business ventures and then this as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but you predominantly expect to spend your time here?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it sounds very exciting. 7 machines and a new venture for you. I wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you have reviewed the conditions?
Yes.
And do you agree with the conditions, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Well, I don't have any concerns.
Thank you.
I'll also watch you at the board, and I'll agree that you're going to be, you are very busy and you're going to be very busy. But you are obviously committed to success and very hands-on. So I'm going to support your application.
Thank you, ma'am.
So at this time, I'm going to, unless there's any additional questions or comments, call for a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll move to approve restricted item number 4 as read into the record by Madam Secretary and recommended for approval by the gaming.
Any discussion on the motion?
None.
There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Madam Secretary, could you please read in restricted number 5?
Restricted number 5 is the application of Carter Amaral for temporary licensure as executor of the estate of Donald J. Amaral. It is also the application of the Audible LLC for a transfer of interest as noted on the agenda, and to the application of Carter Amaral for licensure as a member and manager. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda.
Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Commission, Madam Secretary. For the record, Adriana Guzman Freilich of AGF Law. I'm here on behalf of Carter Amaral and on behalf of Audible Sports Bar and Gaming. Mr. Amaral he is the executor of his late father's estate, and he will be assuming 100% responsibility of the gaming establishment. We're here to answer any questions that you might have.
Well, yes, I'd like to start on behalf of my colleagues and myself and extend our condolences to you, sir, on the loss. I know it was addressed at the board, but we too, we have our condolences to extend, and we also understand it's a very stressful time. That being said, I am going to ask my colleagues to ask any questions or make any comments they may have related to your agenda item. And I will start with whomever would like to start.
Welcome. Thank you for coming today. I understand that Ron Baker, who's the key man, he's been operating the bar since 2015, is going to continue on and with the day-to-day operations, and that you'll be there probably every month, a couple of days a month. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you'll be involved with the accounting side and the books and HR issues and events that are going to be taking place at the location. Is that also correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is there anything you would like to share? I have no areas of concern, and just happy to see this application before us.
Nothing else to share at this time.
Thank you. I have no areas of concern.
Commissioner Marcantonis?
And thank you for being before us today. I too heard the presentation at the NGC. Are you comfortable with the compliance seminar? I realize that is pending approval from the commission. That was one of the conditions, unless I have missed it, but you have not yet enrolled in that, have you?
I have enrolled.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah.
Then I have.
And
no
we'll be
other
attending.
issue. Excellent. You have, when you say you've enrolled, Mr. Amaral, you have a date set, and or is it just?
Yes, January 16th.
Okay. Thank you. I think that's very important, but thank you for being proactive with that. That is all I have, Chair.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
Yes, please. Mr. Amaral, thank you for being in front of us. It's a pleasure to see you. Ms. Freilich, it's always a pleasure to see you. I think you may know this, but I knew your father. So the community really grieved his passing. Point of personal privilege. Carter's father, Don, was a baseball coach for the Whitell Warriors on Whitell Way at Zephyr Cove, Nevada. Mr. Amaral, I understand that you were a mean second baseman. You were pretty good, but many of the youth that played on that team were friends of my family. So that's how I became acquainted with your father, volunteer coach and passionate about it, but you all acquitted yourselves exceedingly well. I also have another nexus here, and it's not a conflict of interest, but the goalpost previously is now your Audibles, and they make an extraordinary cheeseburger and a unique fry, and 2 of my 3 daughters are addicted to those burgers. So just know that we'll be regularly in audibles, and we know the clientele. We're just up Kingsbury grade from the property, but it's a pleasure to see you. I grieve with you and the rest of our Douglas County, Nevada, Tahoe community on the passing of your father. This is right. It's good. I wish you the best of luck, and I have no concerns about your abilities to move this all forward successfully and make your dad proud.
Much appreciated. And thank you for your business.
So they're a little pricey for burgers, but nevertheless, there's a lot of elasticity in that price point when you love the product.
So not a thank you for the compliment to your mad sports skills, but for his business.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
All right. Well, does anybody
So-
else have any questions or
No.
comments?
No.
There being none, do we have a motion?
Certainly. Madam Chair, I am pleased to move for approval of restricted item number 5 with the conditions as shown on the agenda and as read into the record by Madam Secretary, Ms. Nicole Rupert, and as recommended by the Gaming Control Board. Thank you.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you very much for being there today and meeting with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
too.
And thank you
Thanks.
to the restricted team and agent party. Thank you.
Thank you. How is our? She's a champ. Okay, Madam Secretary, if you could please read in restricted number 6.
Restricted number 6 is the application for licensure of Crab and Ash Inc. to receive a percentage of gaming revenue from United Coin Machine Company doing business as Century Gaming Technologies, doing business at 7-Eleven store number 15478. It is also the application of Jagdeep Sandhu for licensure as an officer, director, and shareholder of Crab and Ash Inc. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval, and I believe we have a disclosure on this item.
Thank you. United Coin Machine Company and Century Gaming Technologies are adverse parties to a client of Lou Stroke at the firm where I'm a partner in matters in which I'm not personally involved. I have no pecuniary interest in the outcome of this agenda item, and I do not believe the independence of judgment of a reasonable person in my position would be affected by the relationship described on the record, and I therefore intend to participate. And for the record, this disclosure equally applies to restricted item number 7. So I'm just stating that on the record, so I don't have to repeat it again in just a moment. Thank you.
But she will have to incorporate it by reference on that item, right? Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission, Madam Secretary Jeff Donato, enrolled agent. Here with me today is the applicant, Mr. Sandhu. Before you today is an application to share in the gaming revenue at an existing convenience store. Mr. Sandhu took over the business back on June 1st of 2023. Since that time frame, he has been operating, the gaming has been operating under a space lease. If approved today, that space lease would convert to a participation agreement or share in revenue agreement. And at that point, he would start participating in the gaming. At the board, there was just some discussion about having Mr. Sandhu attend the seminar, and just wanted to update the commission, let you know that he has registered and will be attending the seminar on January 16th. With that, we'll have Mr. Sandhu provide some information about himself.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Jagdeep Sandhu, born and raised in India. I have a bachelor in science and a master in mathematics. So I got married to my wife 2006. I moved to Los Angeles, California in 2007. I worked at a gas station for several months. Then I started working in a company called Medtronic. They make an insulin pump and a sensor for diabetic people. So I started working there 2007 to March of this year. Then I moved here for 7-Eleven training in April. Then I took over the store in June 1st. And then I'm working there 6 to 7 days a week. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here today and introducing yourself. I'm going to open it up for any questions or comments. Commissioner Brown?
Do you miss the traffic in LA?
No traffic, yeah.
Isn't it much better here? Are you missing Los Angeles at all?
Yes, so my wife and kids, they're still there.
Okay,
We'll be moving here in June or May or June once they finish the school year.
wonderful. Well, welcome to Las Vegas, and I wish you luck. I have no areas of concern. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Marcintonis?
No areas of concern, but Mr. Sandhu, you got involved in the medical supply in 2007. Is that right? So you're 16 years for the diabetic sales. Is that what you mentioned?
Yeah, I used to test those sensors in the lab. The people wear the sensor in their body. Yeah,
right.
I used to test those sensors.
So you did that for 16 years?
Yes, sir.
And isn't that quite an amazing and transition to
Yeah, so my brother, he owns several stores here. So I want to just follow his footsteps to become own a businessman and own a boss. So, and a family sport. So that's why I changed to,
Yeah, and certainly with your background, mathematics, science, it makes sense that you'll be going your own business. But congratulations on taking what is a daring step.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Solis Rainey?
I also don't have any questions. Welcome. And I think it's a great application.
No questions or concerns, just an expression of good wishes on your business enterprise.
Well, I don't have any concerns. I'm going to support your application. Very pleased to meet you. And at this time, I'm going to call for one of my colleagues to make a motion.
Move to approve restricted item number 6 is read in the record by Madam Secretary, recommended for approval by the gaming.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And there are none opposed. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'd like
You
to
too.
thank
Thank
Agent
you.
Marta Rosen for all her help during the investigation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Secretary, if you could please read in restricted number 7.
Restricted number 7 is the application for licensure of Star AHT Inc. to receive a percentage of gaming revenue from United Play Machine Company doing business as Century Gaming Technologies, doing business at 7-Eleven store number 24799. It is also the application of Parker for licensure as an officer, director, and shareholder of Star AHT Inc. Recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval, and I believe we have a disclosure.
Yes, I incorporate by reference the disclosure I made for restricted item number 6 into restricted item number 7. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning again.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission, Madam Secretary. Jeff Donato, enrolled agent. With me today is Mr. Tor, which is the applicant before you. Similar to the last application, this is an existing convenience store that Mr. Tor took over the operations back on March 9th of 2023. Since that time frame, the gaming's been operating under a space lease where the gaming license is held by the SRO. If approved today, that agreement would convert and allow Mr. Tor to share in the gaming revenue at the store. Just like the last application, there was some discussion about attending a restricted licensee seminar, and Mr. Tor has registered and will be attending that seminar on January 16th. And with that, we'll have Mr. Tor provide some information about himself.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Harkar Singh Tur. I'm 24 years old. 3 years ago, I moved from Fresno, California to Las Vegas to work with my brother-in-law in the 7-Elevens. He has seven existing 7-Elevens. I worked through mostly all of them, working through doing payouts, handling inventory, handling any the day-to-day operations at the store. If there's any questions.
So our materials meant, so you're 23.
24.
Oh, I thought you said you were 23.
Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Did you have a birthday recently?
Yeah, October 14th.
Okay. So you're catching up. So, but you have been working in 7-Eleven stores, it looks like, for over 2.5 years.
Yes.
Just all those different locations you were talking about, right?
Correct.
Okay. So each store has a different store number. So it looks like you've worked in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different stores.
Yes.
Okay. And each one, while you're working in it, you're working in that store as the position that we, for example, you were a cashier in 3 different stores, a store manager that actually opened a store, and then
Yes, I was also a key employee at Store 27607.
Okay. And then currently 24799.
Yes.
Madam Chair, for clarification, when he says key employee, he's a key employee through the city of Las Vegas. We have not filed a key employee for him to be a key employee with game. It was only
Right.
with the city of Las Vegas, just for clarification.
Yeah, I kind of took it as a general important importance. I wasn't sure what he was referring to, but I knew it wasn't gaming. Okay, thank you very much. I am going to open it up for any questions or comments that my colleagues may have.
I just had a quick question. Are the various stores that you've worked at in Las Vegas, those are all family owned?
Yes.
How long did you live in Houston? I noticed you were born there.
About 2 years.
So you don't miss the traffic. You probably weren't driving back then.
Oh, I wasn't.
All right, great. I didn't have any other questions. It seemed pretty straightforward. Thank you. It's horrible there.
Well, you are very lucky that your brothers-in-law are helping you fund the note to purchase the acquisition price for this project. And I think it's very exciting. You finally get your own place. And I wish you luck. Sounds very exciting. And I'm glad that you've signed up for the class on January 16th. I think that's vital. So
thank you.
Thank you and good luck.
Seems like a very big class on January the 16th. Get there early if you want a seat. But thank you. Oh, okay. But no further questions, Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner Krolicki? All right, well, there are no further questions and I don't have any, for comparing and contrasting different applicants, you have a significant amount of experience in both, frontline and management, going almost 3 years in these stores, different locations and different assignments, so and different roles. So I'm going to support your application, and at this time.
One quick question, Chair.
Yes.
Sorry. When you worked at the Chevron from May of 2018 to January of 2019, was that a family-owned business or not related to the family business?
That was not family-owned.
Okay, so you've seen both sides, the family and the non-family-owned. Okay, thank you. Sorry, Chair.
And when I say similarities, I just mean age. Okay, so does anyone have a motion if there's no further questions or comments?
Happy to make a motion. Chair Tagliati, I move for approval of restricted item number 7 as read into the record by Madam Secretary and is recommended by the Gaming Control Board with the conditions stated therein.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Agent Marta Rosen again for her work during the investigation process, and happy holidays again to everybody. Hope everybody has a great new year.
Thank you. You too. She's still, okay. Madam Secretary, if you could please read in restricted number 11.
Restricted number 11 is the application of Sartini Gaming LLC doing business at Lamppost Pizza for a restricted gaming license. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval.
Good morning still.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Phyllis Gilland for Sartini Gaming. Lamppost Pizza is a request for a space lease, a non-restricted space lease at this location in Reno. They currently have a participation license and have been operating under that. They are thinking about selling and are wish to convert to a space lease. And I think they're known for pizza, just to see me theme tonight, today. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. I'm going to open it up for any questions or comments. Pretty straightforward.
Straightforward. Thank you. No questions.
Commissioner Krolicki, anything?
If you're prepared. This is incredibly straightforward. And
I'm prepared.
I would move to approve restricted item number 11 as read in the record by Madam Secretary and recommended for approval by the Gaming Control Board.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And there are none opposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you to Agent Partee as well for this.
Thank you. All right, Madam Secretary, if you could please read in restricted number 12.
Restricted number 12 is the application of Sartini Gaming LLC doing business at Great Basin Brewing Company for a restricted gaming license. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval.
Good morning again, Phyllis Gillen for Sartini Gaming. This location is on Virginia Street in Reno, Nevada. We do operate one of their locations in Gardner. It's called Overland, and this is, you'll see there's 3 in a row, 3 additional locations for Great Basin. And I'm having a little bit of fun with the idea right now. Overall good food and craft beer at this location.
Excellent. It's good advertising. There'll be 27 people who have watched this that might actually.
I don't know, I'm last. There might be 2.7.
I don't know, the UNLV, gaming class, I think they watch.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I think they watch it.
Go home for Christmas.
When they can't sleep.
Yeah.
Where on Virginia Street is this?
Jen Madole is with me, who is our regional manager in Reno. So Jen.
Yes, good morning. It is right on South Virginia Street, directly across from the, it's in the same parking lot as Barnes and Noble, and it's McCarran
By
to the
Meadowwood Mall.
south. Yeah, correct.
Perfect. Thank you.
I like to bring my experts.
Does anyone have any questions or comments?
No.
Nope. All right. Does anyone have a motion?
Sure, Chair. I move for approval of restricted item number 12 as recommended by the Gaming Control Board and is read into the record by Madam Secretary.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Now, if I recall from the Gaming Control Board meeting, do you recall if 13, 14, and 15 were read in together? Weren't they? Or did
I think they were.
Yeah, they were.
Okay, can we do that?
I don't recall, though. I apologize.
Madam Secretary?
I believe 12, 13, and 14 had been read in together, and then 15 separate.
All right, let's do 13 and 14 together.
Okay. Restricted number 13 is the application of Sartini Gaming LLC doing business at Great Basin Brewing Company for a restricted gaming license. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval. Restricted number 14 is the application of Sartini Gaming LLC doing business at Great Basin Brewing Company for a restricted gaming license. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval.
Great. Again, Phyllis Gillen for Sartini Gaming. In regards to both of these, they're applications for space lease for non-restricted license at both locations. The first location for number 13 is in Sparks, Nevada. Famous fish and chips, I've been told. And in Carson City on Carson Street, as that's number 14, and apparently gourmet pizza.
Okay, you're making me hungry for
For lunchtime.
It is lunchtime. Well, again, we appreciate you being here, as when we're, looking at the agenda of items to be held out. I never know because of open meeting who might have questions for who, but since you're here anyway,
No
we can
problem.
run through them very quickly. And so at this time, I'll open it up for any questions or comments on 13 and 14. No questions?
None, Chair.
Do I have to split them up for a vote, or can a motion be made for both?
You can make the motion for both, Madam Chair.
Okay. Does someone have a motion to approve both?
Certainly. Madam Chair, I move for approval the restricted items 13 and 14 as shown on the agenda and read into the record by Madam Secretary, Ms. Nicole Rupert, and as recommended by the Gaming Control Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you
And there
very
are none
much. And
opposed?
thanks again to Agent Partee for all 3 of these.
Okay, thank you. At this time, Madam Secretary, if you could please read in, we're going to take a break just so everyone knows after this last restricted item, a comfort break. But if you could read in restricted number 15.
Restricted number 15 is the application of Sartini Gaming LLC doing business at Lexi's Bistro on Raiders Way for a restricted gaming license. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda.
Thank you. Again, Phyllis Gillen for Sartini Gaming. Lexi's Bistro does have a little bit of a unique background, which I talked about at the Gaming Control Board. It is part of a master plan for Matter Park behind the Henderson Hospital. This is a Sunridge Place mixed-use park, and Lexi's Bistro is a full-service restaurant with a bar with gaming. It has banquet rooms, food, and there are residents directly next door to this. They are separated, however, with the Henderson rules on master planning, you can have that exception to the distance separations on gaming locations. So this is a unique location for us, and we're excited to have it.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, whenever I have whenever I participate in these meetings and I hear the details on some of these, cool projects, golf, Raiders Way, I'm thinking I have to get out more. I have to get out more.
Seen it, but I have seen the pictures of it. It's very unique. It's got clubhouse residences. It's multi-story and the Lexi's Bistro is a large restaurant in the middle.
Well, sounds very exciting. Great project. And so I'll open it up for any comments or questions.
Just briefly, Chair, if I may.
Sure.
Is Lexi still expected to open in January of 2024?
That's my understanding.
Okay, and then I know that there are the 3 apartment buildings, and I thought 2 are scheduled to open in January of 2024 and the 3rd in March of 2024. Do you know if that's still on schedule?
No, that's still our understanding.
Okay. And last question, the restaurant has to be open if the tavern is open. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any other questions, no areas of concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? There being no additional questions, does anyone have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'm happy to make a motion to approve restricted item number 15 as read into the record by Madam Secretary and as recommended by the Gaming Control Board.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For being
And
here today.
thanks to Agent Peters, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
We're going to take a 5 to 7 minute recess. And we'll be back shortly. Okay, we're back on the record, continuing the Nevada Gaming Commission meeting for the month of December. At this time, Madam Secretary, if you could please read in the next agenda item.
The next item on the agenda is the consideration of the placement of Sean Joseph Benward to the list of excluded persons, case number 23-04.
Good morning.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, Madam Secretary, I'm Mike Somps with the Attorney General's Office here on behalf of the Gaming Control Board. As Madam Secretary indicated, the matter before you today is to consider the board's nomination of Sean Benward to Nevada's list of excluded. Sure.
Does it always say currently in recess?
I'm sorry?
That's from the north.
Okay.
So we're okay?
Okay, so this is not a contested hearing today, but the commission must still consider the evidence and whether or not to actually place Mr. Benward on the list of excluded persons. So as part of my presentation, all of you should have a packet of exhibits for you. And I'm going to ask that these exhibits be accepted and made a part of a record, made a part of the record. I would ask that exhibit number 19 be made a confidential exhibit. That is an affidavit of the board enforcement agent and contains matters related to his investigation.
So let me ask the our DAG. Does that have to be part of the motion to, can it just be ordered, or must it be part of the motion if exhibit 19 were to be kept confidential due to a few things, including attachment A, which appears to be a, do we know, is that a booking photo? Is that some other kind of photo?
That is a photo of the individual from scope.
Okay, and so we have scope and NCIC record summaries that are protected. Usually, at least the copies of those would be, but these are summaries. Does that have to be part of the motion, or?
No, Madam Chair, you can just have those confidential.
Okay, so exhibit 19, I guess what I would ask my colleagues is, I'm inclined to grant that request because of the nature of scope and NCIC, and the way that those records are used in investigation. Technically, at least NCIC, their investigative bodies can't even hand it over to a court. So without violating the contract to be able to have access to NCIC in the first place. So so I'm inclined to grant that request, but if you wanted to have a commentary and discussion on it, I'm happy to.
No objection.
I think it's appropriate.
So anyone have any objection to that?
Appropriate.
Just a question, if I might.
Sure.
Madam Chair and Senior Day Psalms, thank you for being here. It's nice to have you in front of us and not on a virtual screen. You know, I actually had a question on 19 because this is my first exclusion matter, so this is a learning process for me. But I didn't quite understand why it would be confidential. There is description of the process of the activity, which I get, but there is some hefty things here and 17 trespass properties and literally on the Las Vegas Strip and other things. So, I think some of that should be on public record. I know it's scattered throughout the other parts that we have, but could you just explain to me why this or anything like this would normally be held confidential?
Yeah, my concern is that it does contain information that is from records of criminal history, which must be kept confidential. Largely, much of the information perhaps isn't, but given that it's included in his affidavit, I would ask that it be kept confidential. Setting that aside, I will be going through a lot of the evidence, including items that are indicated in his affidavit as I make the presentation.
Oh, okay, then I'm fine.
Okay, so so these exhibits 1 through 18, will be accepted by the commission as part of the public record associated with the hearing of this agenda item. And Exhibit 19 will be accepted and deemed confidential and not subject to public review based upon there being information from both shared computer operations, protection and enforcement scope for Mr. Benward and the National Crime Information Center's criminal history. It's replete through here, in addition to the attached exhibit. So that exhibit and exhibit number 19 will be confidential.
Thank you. So from here, my plan is to just provide some general background for these proceedings, and then I'll review the grounds for including Mr. Benward on the list, as well as the evidence in support of that. And then finally, obviously, answer any questions that any of you might have. So first, some background. On September 6th of this year, the Gaming Control Board entered an order of nomination, finding that the presence of Mr. Benward in a licensed gaming establishment poses a threat to the interests of the state of Nevada and licensed gaming, and that he should therefore be excluded from licensed gaming establishments. That order, along with the board's notice of candidacy, is contained in your exhibit packet at numbers 1 and 2. After the board nominated Mr. Benward, he was served with the board's order of nomination and notice of candidacy. He was served in 2 ways. He was served by certified mail at his last known address back on September 15th of 2023. And then he was located here in Las Vegas and personally served on October 19th of 2023. Evidence of those service efforts are exhibits 3 and 4. After being served, Mr. Benward had 30 days from service to request a hearing before the commission. I'm not aware that he's requested a hearing, and I believe Madam Secretary can confirm that he hasn't requested a hearing to her.
Correct.
So now, separate and apart from the service requirements under the Gaming Control Act, the open meeting law does have its own notice requirements. So in compliance with that law, Mr. Benward was provided additional written notice that the commission would be considering this matter today. I have provided Madam Executive Secretary a copy of that written notice, so that will be made part of the record.
One quick question about service. In connection with the affidavit of personal service that's been attached as Exhibit 3, is that an independent process serving company or is it an employee?
It was an employee of the board.
Thank you.
So now I will discuss the grounds for including Mr. Benward on the list. And these are summarized in a bill of particulars that was filed with the commission in accordance with your regulations. That's Exhibit 5, just for your benefit in your packet. Pursuant to NRS 463.151 sub 2, the list may include any person whose presence in a gaming establishment is determined to pose a threat to the interests of Nevada or to licensed gaming or both. In making that determination, you may consider the criteria set forth in NRS 463.151 sub 3. And then pursuant to regulation 28.010, if you conclude that any single one of those criteria are satisfied, Mr. Benward qualifies for the list. So with Mr. Benward, he satisfies 4 of the 7 different statutory criteria. He's been convicted of crimes which are violations of the gaming laws of any state. He's been convicted of crimes involving moral turpitude. He has a notorious or unsavory reputation that would adversely affect public confidence and trust that the gaming industry is free from criminal or corruptive elements. And 4, he is the subject of written orders of government agencies authorizing his exclusion or ejection of gaming establishments. Now, before getting into the specific bases for his inclusion, I do want to highlight generally the activity that Mr. Benward is known for engaging in that broadly justifies his placement on the list. A detailed example is provided by Agent Farrell in his affidavit at paragraph 12. But Mr. Benward engages in a scheme to defraud casinos while playing roulette, where he essentially claims to have told the dealer to place his chips on the eventual winning number in an effort to fraudulently claim winnings. So again, Agent Farrell provides some additional color in his affidavit, but that is generally that or some version of that activity that Mr. Benward engages in. So with that, I'll go through the evidence to describe how Mr. Benward meets each of those criteria. Please bear with me. Mr. Benward has a a fairly extensive history and is very active, not only here in Nevada, but across the country. So first, Mr. Benward has criminal convictions for crimes that are violations of the gaming laws of any state. If you look at Exhibit 6 in your packet, that is a certified copy of a certificate of imposition of judgment of sentence. That's out of Delaware County, Pennsylvania Court of Common Pleas. And there, Mr. Benward was convicted of, quote, gaming person take/claim with intent to defraud. That's a misdemeanor in that state, and it's a violation of Pennsylvania's gaming laws. If you turn to Exhibit 7, that's a certified copy of a sentence order in the Superior Court of Delaware, and evidence that on January 17th of 2017, Mr. Benward was convicted of cheating in a lottery facility. Again, a misdemeanor and a violation of Delaware's gaming laws. Exhibit 8, that's a certified copy of a document entitled Sentence Judgment Commitment out of the Circuit Court of Clay County, Missouri. It evidences that on May 30th of 2019, Mr. Benward pled guilty to 2 counts of attempted cheating at a gambling game. Those are misdemeanors and violations of that state's gaming laws. If you turn to Exhibit 9, those are certified copies of Mr. Benward's guilty plea and judgment entry out of Hamilton County, Ohio Court of Common Pleas. And that those evidence that on September 28th of 2021, Mr. Benward was found guilty of attempt. That's a misdemeanor, and it was based on and tied to an attempted violation of Ohio's gaming laws related to cheating gambling. So those 4 convictions satisfy NRS 463.151 sub 3A. It's a basis for his inclusion on the list. Moving on to Mr. Benward's convictions of crimes involving moral turpitude. Each of those 4 convictions that I just described involving violations of the gaming laws of other states are crimes involving moral turpitude, given that they are fraud or theft-related crimes. Also, if you look at Exhibit 10 in your packet, that's a certified copy of a judgment of conviction in the Harrison Superior Court of Indiana, and evidence that on August 31st of 2022, Mr. Benward was convicted of theft. That is, again, a crime of moral turpitude. So with that, we have an additional second criteria that is satisfied for placing Mr. Benward on the list.
If I may take a quick pause here, in connection with the Ohio entry on September 29th, 2021, with the guilty plea, it says the maximum jail time is 180 days with a fine of $1,000. Do you know if the fine was paid and if any jail time was served by Mr. Benward?
I am not aware. I could find out if you'd like, though.
And then in connection with the restitution that needed to be paid, as set forth in Exhibit 6 from Delaware County Court of Common Pleas, do you know if any restitution was paid in the amount of $1,050?
I cannot say.
Okay, thank you. Pardon the interruption.
That's fine. Thank you. So going on to Mr. Benward's notorious or unsavory reputation. So again, the previously described convictions are all evidence of Mr. Benward's notorious and unsavory reputation. And importantly, all of those convictions stem from Mr. Benward's activities where it was alleged that he engaged in or attempted to engage in various versions of this roulette scheme that Agent Farrell details in his affidavit based on his review of the various documents like law enforcement and arrest records. And all of those are behind the convictions. In addition, Agent Farrell, through his affidavit, describes the numerous instances where Mr. Benward was investigated, arrested, charged, indicted for crimes related to him allegedly engaging in versions of this roulette scheme. If you look at paragraph 13A of the agent's affidavit, he describes one of these instances where Mr. Benward was arrested in Pennsylvania on February 25th of 2015 for theft-related charges at a Pennsylvania casino. Along with that, you can see at Exhibit 11, which is related to this arrest and arose out of this arrest. That's a certified copy of the criminal information and guilty plea sentencing out of the Court of Common Pleas, Monroe County, Pennsylvania, evidencing these theft-related charges and what he ultimately pled to. If you look at paragraphs 13D and E of the affidavit, you can see that Mr. Benward was investigated by board agents in January and August of 2017 for his activities at Southern Nevada casinos, where he was suspected at that time of engaging in the roulette scheme, didn't lead to charges, but nonetheless, he was suspected of that activity at the time. At paragraph 13F of his affidavit, Agent Farrell describes that on April 21st of 2018, Mr. Benward was arrested in Missouri for violations of laws pertaining to riverboat gambling. Paragraph 13I of the affidavit, the agent describes that on December 17th of 2018, Mr. Benward was charged in Iowa for crimes related to cheating at an Iowa casino. Paragraph 13J, the agent describes that on July 29th of 2019, Mr. Benward was arrested in Indiana on charges that include theft at an Indiana casino. Moving on to paragraph 13L, the agent describes that on December 14th of 2019, Mr. Benward was arrested in Connecticut on charges that included larceny at the Mohegan Sun. Paragraph 13P, Agent Farrell describes that on August 30th of 2020, an arrest warrant was issued out of Rhode Island for his activities at a Rhode Island casino. And then if you look at paragraphs 13M through O and Q through T of the agent's affidavit, he describes that the board investigated Mr. Benward for executing his roulette scheme at numerous different Las Vegas casinos in July and August of 2020. That led to his ultimate arrest on charges that included commission of a fraudulent act in a gaming establishment and conspiracy to cheat at gambling. There's evidentiary support of those charges at exhibits 12 and 13. These are certified copies of Las Vegas Justice Court criminal complaints. In addition, you have exhibit 14, which is a certified copy of a written entry of plea out of the Las Vegas Justice Court, where you can see Mr. Benward eventually pled guilty on September 8th of 2022 to theft. Now, note that those charges were to be dismissed if he stayed out of trouble for a year. My recent review of court records indicate that those charges were dismissed. Nonetheless, I think all of that is evidence of Mr. Benward's reputation. Most recently, as described by Agent Farrell at paragraph 13U of his affidavit, Mr. Benward was the subject of a board intelligence bulletin where he was suspected of fraudulent activities on June 3rd, 2023, up at Lake Tahoe, Nevada casinos. Agent Farrell also describes in his affidavit at paragraph 14 that Mr. Benward has a nationwide history of being the subject of casino surveillance reports, being trespassed, arrest for trespass, and being suspected of various scams. And then at paragraph 15, the agent describes that Mr. Benward has been officially trespassed from 17 Nevada casinos, in addition to numerous instances of trespass admonishments at casinos in other states. And then to the extent you need any more evidence of his reputation, Mr. Benward is the subject of other states' orders of exclusions, which I'm just going to go through briefly in a second, but this third criteria is now satisfied for placing Mr. Benward in the list. These written orders of government agencies that are out there that authorize Mr. Benward's exclusion or ejection from gaming establishments, there's 4 of them. You can see at exhibits 15, 16, 17, and 18. You have various documents that evidence that Mr. Benward is on exclusion lists in Pennsylvania, in Delaware, in Michigan, and in Missouri. So there's 4 states that have placed Mr. Benward on their exclusion list, and that satisfies a 4th criteria for placing him on Nevada's list of excluded persons. So as I stated earlier, satisfying just a single criteria is sufficient, and Mr. Benward satisfies 4. So that concludes my presentation, and I'm certainly here to answer any questions you might have.
Does anyone have any questions?
I had one more follow-up question in connection with Exhibit 8 from the Missouri court. There was an order for Mr. Benward to pay restitution of $5,200 prior to leaving the courthouse that specific day. It's on the bottom of the page for Exhibit 8. And do you know if he actually paid that restitution, or if he was allowed to leave, or if he had to serve any jail time?
I apologize, Commissioner. I'm not aware of whether he paid restitution in any of these cases. I was focused on his activities leading to the convictions and then the ultimate convictions themselves. So I apologize for that.
It's not material. I just was curious if they have gotten him to repay the establishments from which he's stolen. Just interested.
I understand.
But it's not material to my personal conclusion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Krolicki?
Thank you, Chair Tagliani. Again, this is Mr.
Your mic is on.
There we go. Mr. Benward's been very industrious around the country and on Las Vegas Boulevard. Again, I go to process. Why are we hearing this today? You know, 4 out of 7 criteria are satisfied, but you know, was there a trigger event? And you know, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Michigan, Missouri have put him on the exclusion list. But you know, I'm sure there are other folks who have equally impressive background. It's interesting that Mr. Benward, I think, lives in Mississippi, or
correct.
We believe there was nothing in Mississippi that I think in the documents we had. But why today? Why now? Why the process? Just why is this item in front of the Gaming Commission today?
Yes, thank you. I think if there was any triggering event, my understanding is that it was when Mr. Benward came into the focus of the board back in 2020, when he had that significant amount of activity at various casinos down here in the South. And from that, you know, I don't want to speak to all the internal workings that occurred because I don't know, but there are logistics associated with actually moving that up to before the board and eventually to you. So it did take some time. But I think that the trigger was back in 2020.
I have a question related to that. So how many of these have you done where you've presented to the commission?
Probably 5 to 6.
Okay. Have you ever had any one of these folks been trespassed from 17 casinos in Nevada
No,
or hotels?
Not
Because
that I recall.
that's part of it, right? It is very difficult as a casino to keep the trespass is exactly that. The time you take to write a piece of paper that has like very little effect. Then when you're calling for a violation of trespass and you want to actually have some kind of process where you could have a redress to deter, it's unfortunately the state of our criminal justice system is not that these folks can be prosecuted for these trespasses. The city of Las Vegas does a remarkable job, but the problem is with the Strip, it's very, very difficult for these hotels. They can trespass, takes how, you know, the call for a trespass has to be prioritized by Metro. It's going to come below everything else, right? Because it's not violent, it's not theft. You're just there. You're there existing when you're not supposed to be, when you've been asked not to return. And so this is an incredible deterrent for, you know, the ability to arrest someone and prosecute them for something more than a misdemeanor trespass, which would take respectfully an act of Congress in our justice system for it to occur, for 17 casinos that have told him, don't come back. So I think, you know, that's got to be one of the reasons, right? Because you have the frustration of these licensees when they can't manage being able to keep these people off property. I mean, it's just not realistic. They trespass them, they leave, and then they come back the next day with no redress, not like you would have if you were in this list of excluded persons, the Black Book. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay, that's just part of it, I think.
So being the non-attorney here, you know, and it's interesting, we've had several discussions in the last couple months about being trespassed, and you know, it's been frustrating. So being on the exclusion list enhances it increases the legal liability, the criminality. So
significantly,
I'm on the exclusion list and I show up at a gaming operation in Nevada. That is a felony, or
it's a gross misdemeanor.
It's still
it's higher than a misdemeanor. I'll defer.
It's up to 1 year in the detention center of the county for which the offense has occurred, and or used to be a $2,000 fine. I don't know if it's gone up.
Judge Tagliani, I love that experience. But if I'm trespassing, what's the penalty?
Up to 6 months in jail,
Okay,
because
so
it's a misdemeanor.
like doubling of the potential.
Yes, but the practical reality of anyone on a trespass doing time, I'll I'll defer to Judge Assad. I mean, am I wrong? Nominal. So that's part of it.
And again, forgive me, and this isn't necessarily even about Mr. Benward, it's about, the process of exclusion and ejection. What is a person who's been in government and legal situations for decades, I appreciate it when there's clear definition, when there is not great discretion on whether or not to proceed on an item. So 17 trespasses in a record around the country seems pretty impressive.
Well, wait. Let me correct. It could be far more than 17. There are 17 properties that have trespassed him. It could be that one property has trespassed him 5 times.
Fully understood.
So we don't really know.
I'm sure that's the case.
Do we?
But is the trigger, 5 or 10? Again, there is some discretion here. I mean, I fully support this application, but I'm just trying to get a better handle on context and what brought it to the attention. Said events of 2020 did, but again, the discretionary tool of government and prosecution and this commission, I just want to have a strong handle on, so people understand what it takes to be in front of us and be in this very formidable legal situation. Exclusion.
I have another comment. Okay, so I had a very similar struggle when we had someone who was alleged to be involved in sex trafficking and prostitution and pandering and all kinds of things. And I thought, well, how does that work because obviously, we don't want that person in gaming establishments, but like, how does that work as far as precedent, and how long is the list going to be when we start including those people? I think I had an observation about this, and I guess I don't know if it's true or not, and so I will just ask out of curiosity. When it comes to the trespassing, do you know how many times he's been trespassed? Just, to answer that previous question.
Yeah, it's my understanding that he has been trespassed from 17 different Southern Nevada casinos.
But it could be more than once, is what I'm getting at.
I don't believe so.
No.
Top of my head, I think I can't say for certain.
Am I wrong to assume, and just from reading this, that this set up this the way that he was alleged to have conducted these attempts, sometimes successful, apparently sometimes not, maybe hard to prove? You don't have sound, right? You've got video. And so he's talking about a conversation with a dealer, right? You have to have the dealer there as a witness, be able to talk exactly as to timing, review the video. What did he say? When did he say it? Not easy to prove.
And he often had an accomplice there with him to validate his claims.
Right. Okay. So that's the thing is, unless you stop everything and do an investigation until you start to put the pieces together, right? And this happens more than once, then not the easiest crime to prosecute. To catch. I mean, they obviously have caught on, but not easy. And even if you get to the prosecution point of, he's got a witness saying it's all good, and you have no sound on the video, right? So it's one of those, it seemed to me, having done this in the past, that these would be tough cases. So you see them getting dealt away, pardon the phrase, because you got to convince 12 people beyond a reasonable doubt that the conversation occurred. The dealer still has to work there. They have to remember it. It's not an easy. It's a rather, I mean, I don't want to say ingenious, because I think that's giving it more credit than he is due, but it's unusual. I mean, you see this a lot in.
Honestly, for me, this was an extensive history for this committing or attempting to commit this type of fraudulent activity.
But the way he does it, is that common?
I've never seen that. Now, I don't know if there's an enforcement agent here that wants to speak to that. I don't know.
And if I could add, when you read.
No, I'm just curious.
But I mean, in general, and please correct me if I'm wrong. It's also my first time, Commissioner Kryliki, but it's not just people who have cheated casinos who get trespassed in the casinos. It could be people who have made, it happens all the time to us. I've got a huge history with this. People who've made threats against employees, whether they're physical threats, whether they've made threats of any other kind, with the new facial recognition techniques that have been coming in play over the years. But in addition, every time something like happens like that, where it's a threat, somebody who cheats a game, somebody who does something else that destroys property, that their photos are generally circulated inside the casino to the security teams. They are posted, they're online, and they're used as the training sessions. So if somebody, like reading this gentleman's story, particularly, I'm talking strictly in Las Vegas right now, can't speak for multiple jurisdictions. If somebody is caught doing something like this in a casino, photographed, trespassed, you're out of here, we're reporting you, the major casinos will press charges. Whether that's taken anywhere or not, I will tell you, they will press charges. There's almost a zero tolerance. But that's number one. Number two, they immediately get on the line and call all the other major casinos. The minute the person puts 1 foot out of the door when they're thrown out, is a very collegial teamwork. One casino calls the one next door and the one next door, and it's like the drums are beating. And the word spreads very quickly. So I'm just throwing that out just for color to let you know. But I mean, there are a lot of people who are trespassed or banned, and it's not all just because they try to cheat at the games. But cheating at the games becomes very much a dealer training thing, their faces and who they are and how they do it. That's it. Sorry.
And in that conversation within the industry, is that shared with the Gaming Control Board also, or it's just a collegiality thing, between?
Oh no, not Commissioner. If everything is shared with the Gaming Control Board, when somebody is cheating in a casino, right away everything is shared. It's what I'm saying is that, but it's not just shared with the Nevada Gaming Control Board, because if you are the head of security, my colleague in the property next door to me, and I'm the chief of security here, and somebody's taking advantage, we know how, look, over history, these people just will, okay, I'm out of here. Let me see if I can pull the same stunt down the street. And it's not just for cheating. As I mentioned, it could be because you have displayed, whether accidentally or otherwise, whether you've got a carry permit or not, a weapon in a casino if it's not permitted, if you have threatened physical assault on somebody, or if you've even committed physical assault. So there is a lot of communication. And that is almost an abstract punishment that goes along with this, is serious reputational damage to these people, particularly because people start to be on the lookout for them. And there's ways to do that.
And one thing I'll add, if I may, I don't know how big of a factor it played in the board's decision to move this individual forward, but in reviewing the materials as part of the agent's investigation, there was a stack of paperwork provided by a licensee recording the history of this individual's suspicious activity at their establishment. So this individual is certainly of concern to the industry.
And I appreciate this conversation tremendously. And I just want to be consistent in how I apply my judgment, for these kind of matters that come before the commission during, my time on the commission. And I thank you for the examples and the discussions.
Yeah, I would just point out that the criminal complaint from the case that was in justice court literally alleges that he's at one property on July 25th, 2020 doing this, and 6 days later he's at the same property doing it, right? Like this is not an easy, it's not an automatic catch, obviously, or it's a catch and release. And he's back in 6 days. You can infer that just from reading the complaint. So it's very interesting, your commentary about why this person, why now, because I had that in another circumstance, not that the person didn't deserve it to be there, but just that, how does that set up for later? So I agree with, asking, because I did the same thing. You just weren't here. Did this exact same thing. But I could see, like, just perhaps because of, the offense itself, at least in our, I know there were other types of offenses, but what's laid out in the justice court complaint, I could see where this would be hard to control if you're just trying to trespass and catch it at the time. Depends on who the dealer is, maybe a different dealer, it's very hard. And so I support this, and I appreciate your presentation. And so I'll open it up to any other questions or comments.
And is it on, Chair, our responsibility again as a commission to just do the best we can with the resources or options that we have available to us? I mean, when you read this is despicable for our industry. And if our only options, whether it's a permanent exclusion, and is there a method of appeal? I assume there must be some kind of method of appeal for if should people ever end up as excluded persons years ahead, or I mean, is there a
My guess is when you had notice and an opportunity to be heard and you decided to forego that opportunity, no. But I could be wrong. Am I wrong?
This individual does have the ability to seek judicial review.
Does he?
Regardless of the fact that he
didn't come here? That's interesting. I had no idea. Well, that makes me feel even better about supporting it.
No, I think one of the more surprising things I've heard is the fact that if you are, if you are on the exclusion list and still enter into a licensed gaming facility, it's still a misdemeanor. I would just, maybe it's gross misdemeanor, but
there is
still a BDR in the Attorney General's office or the Gaming Control Board. I mean, does it make sense that it's a gross misdemeanor? Again, I'm not the attorney here.
May I go out on a limb and say that 1 year in the Clark County Detention Center is, which by the way would be reduced to far, far less, is much more of a deterrent than 1 year in the Nevada Department of Corrections.
I yield.
You could ask, I could line up 20 inmates here and you could do a poll.
I'm so happy to hear that.
But
good.
For the record, when I reviewed Exhibit 13, I was really troubled to see the alacrity and speed of infractions on August 17th, 2020 at the Venetian. Same day, hours later, again at the Venetian, August 20th, 2020 at the Paris Hotel, August 22nd, 2020 at the MGM, and then again on August 28th at the Aria. So just that sole exhibit alone, separate and apart from the fact that he has 54 confirmed incidents nationwide, and he's been trespassed out of 17 Nevada casinos. And the huge record that you've presented before us gives me comfort that we are doing the right thing. I am doing the right thing to protect the gaming industry here in the state of Nevada. And a question, I noticed that the most recent information in the affidavit that's been submitted as Exhibit 19 was the Lake Tahoe incident on June 3rd, 2023. Can you verify whether or not, and that affidavit was signed, I think, in August of 2023, has any other incident been reported or located since the August 14th, 2023 affidavit was signed in Nevada or any other jurisdiction?
Not that I'm aware of. Although, as I indicated earlier, he was located here in Las Vegas and personally served with the board's nomination. So he's still active in the community.
Have you done a search since the affidavit was signed to verify if any other activity had occurred in the interim?
No.
Okay, so it's possible.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
I would say I misspoke when I said 1 year. It's 364 days in the Clark County Detention Center is the range of punishment for misdemeanor. And they made that change, I believe, because of immigration consequences back a long time ago. I was dating myself by saying a year.
15 years.
Because after all, I just got out of Hyde Park Middle School.
Well, he was served here in Las Vegas on October 19th of 2023. So it is possible that something else transpired, but I don't need more information to make a decision today. Thank you for the excellent presentation. It was very concise and helpful. Yeah. And the exhibits were very, very helpful as well.
I don't have any questions, but I'm prepared to make a motion unless anybody else has any
No.
questions.
If there are no other questions or comments,
I move to place Mr. Sean Joseph Benward on the list of excluded persons based on the criteria specified in NRS 463-161 sub 2, 151 sub 2, and NRS 463-151 sub 3, A, C, and D.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. And I'll provide an order to the executive secretary for your signature.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, if you could please read in the next agenda item.
Next for your consideration is one gaming employee registration appeal. That item is Fiona Z, case number 22LD04441.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Joseph Carson, 13876. Sorry, that's just habit, commissioners. Before I get started, I just wanted to make a recommendation. There's a 2019 movie called The Competitive Edge, I believe it's called. An insider's blackjack story. It's a 2019 movie, and it's about a gentleman who's an advantage player who essentially goes across the country in an RV. So he hits every casino from coast to coast and, disguises the whole thing. So it's a really interesting take on what the whole discussion was just about. So if you get an opportunity, I just recommend it. But anyways,
thank you.
We're here for other reasons. So,
okay, if you could state your appearance and that of your client.
again, Your Honor, Joseph Carson, 13876 for Fiona Z, who is to my right.
So normally what we do before we start these hearings is we simply advise you that we will take, that we are constrained to the record before us. So the materials include the recommendation of the Gaming Control Board, we have the transcript of the hearing, and we have some exhibits that include, your client's court record and things like that. So we normally hear from you and or your client or both. Then we ask you to be available to answer any questions. Then we give you an opportunity to sum up. And then there'll be an opportunity for someone to make a motion. Once the motion is made, oftentimes we engage in a discussion, or we might even ask another question, but it's not for more argument.
Yes.
So
Understood.
I'm just doing the same thing in every case, just so you know. And so that's my spiel, and we're ready when you are.
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, I completely understand we're constrained to the record. I completely understand why the board made the decision that they did. I'm not sure that my client understands completely. So let me sort of start there. However, there are a few things I think that the board, again, arbitrary and capricious is sort of our standard here. If you look at page 2, the bottom of page 2, the relevant testimony, and page 3 of the recommendation of the board, they talked about what Agent Winterton, he stated that while speaking with her, she never admitted to trying to steal the bottles of alcohol. Miss She, again, by the record, was going through a bad time with her husband. Some nutty neighbor or friend recommended, oh, drink a little bit and you'll forget all about it. She went to Costco, she grabbed some alcohol, she left without paying. She tried to explain this to Winterton. Her English is not great. I don't believe his Chinese is any better. So there was really a big miscommunication. She went off to Henderson to take care of this. She's told by the translator, it's all taken care of, don't worry about it. She doesn't understand that it's a big deal. I understand this is not a criminal proceeding, okay? Criminal proceedings, you need the actus reus and the mens rea. You need the guilty act and the guilty mind. The big issue here is her intent was never to lie, steal, defraud, any of it's really a comedy of errors here. She's a rather nice lady. She really enjoyed her job. I think she fell into a situation that, again, she just didn't fully understand. Like I said, I understand that. I'm not sure that my client completely understands that and the ramifications. Really, we're falling on bended knee before the commission and basically saying, look, if you really look at what happened, I don't want to say it's not that bad, because obviously it is, but what came out of it really is affecting her life. And I don't think you have someone who was intending to commit a crime. I don't think you have someone who was intending to defraud the board in any way. She just didn't understand. And again, if you look at the like I said, I was going to talk about like I said, page 2 and page 3, the relevant testimony. Even the agent says, you know, she never admits to the stealing because she didn't think she did. She completely forgot. She goes to the court again. I know I'm being a little repetitive, but she goes to the court and she thinks it's taken care of, not understanding the system. Ignorance of the law, as you know, Your Honor, that is no excuse. We understand that. And really, that's why we're here today on bended knee asking for the grace of this commission to really look at this as this is not some evil person. This is not the person that you had before you that we were talking about. This is someone who really had a big stumble, and to take away her livelihood and her opportunity to do the job that she loves, I think is a travesty based on what evidence and what the story was to the hearing officer and what you have on the record today.
Does your client wish to make a statement? Excuse me one second. My mic wasn't on. Does your client wish to make a statement?
I mean, I'm not, we had a Chinese interpreter at the last hearing. It was actually one of the agents, which was kind of weird. Her English is good, but not great. I mean, I can have her, I think she would apologize to you if you want to hear that from her, but.
Well, it's not what I want. It's what
No,
you
I
want and
understand.
what she
I
wants.
mean, just let them know.
Yeah, I'm Fiona. I really apologize. Something I not really
Am I closer?
understand it.
I can't hear a thing she's saying.
Sorry, something I not really understanding. Yeah, but basically I understand what to doing, but at that time I only forgot. I trying to do something, but the guy don't let me pay over there. And then he said, you want to buy? I said, yeah, I want. I try to buy. And then okay, yeah, you know, hey, you go to the handyman. I said, okay, that's it. But I'm not really know what is or what they writing. I don't really need clear the detail.
Okay.
As you can see, there's just a real disconnect here, Your Honor. So.
I'm going to open it up for, excuse me, any comments or questions of my colleagues, starting with Commissioner Marcantonis. Do you have any questions for?
I don't have additional questions than what I've read in the record. I did raise an eyebrow when I read how culturally an incident like this may have been dealt differently in another part of the world where the individual has originated from, and there may have been some cultural misunderstanding on what follows, what happens when something like this crops up. But I don't have any additional questions, Chair. Thank you.
Again, I mean, yes. I teach criminal law at UNLV, and that's actually one of the things we bring up to our students in talking about defenses. There is a new defense sort of working its way through the courts, which is the cultural defense. And again, I'm not saying that's correct. She still is, she's here. We still have to live by the laws of the United States, but hopefully you can understand that and we're not asking you to absolve her, but please understand that is exactly what we're talking about here. Thank you.
So I'm having issues with your presentation today and the inconsistency that I'm seeing in the police report. I know you say that there are cultural differences and issues, but if I look at the police report, it's my understanding that your client asked for forgiveness repeatedly and that she said what she did was wrong, trying to leave without paying for the 2 bottles of alcohol, and that she had regret for taking the bottles. So I know you keep saying there's like confusion or cultural differences, but and that she never admitted to anything. But to me, based on the police report and the record that's before me, that's kind of inconsistent with your narrative today. My other issue is the failure to disclose on the application, the gaming employee registration form. And while I appreciate the confusion argument, and I hear that frequently for these types of appeals regarding confusion, I didn't know I was arrested, or there was clearly a citation issued. And the question that appears on the form is not just arrest, it includes citations. And I understand she appeared in court. She paid the fine of $305 the same day. I'm not sure how there can be confusion about at least the existence of a citation, setting apart a different dichotomy between cultural arrests and her understanding of that. The citation, I think, transcends culture. It's she went to court, she paid the citation same day. She thought it was closed, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. So I'm simply struggling with the record that I have before me and the narrative that you're espousing today. And I'm having trouble deviating from the documentation before me.
If I can just respond.
Please.
I guess you made 2 points. One was the aftermath, and then the failure to disclose. It's unfortunate. I'm a lawyer. People don't believe me a lot of times as I start, but she was arrested. I was trying to make a joke. It was
I didn't
bad
say I
joke.
didn't believe you. I'm just saying it's inconsistent with the record.
It was just
So,
a bad joke.
to be
Your Honor.
clear, I'm not calling you a liar.
No. When she was arrested, she was caught with the bottle. She didn't realize she had them. I mean, she knows she had them, but she forgot. So as soon as she was stopped, it was one of these, oh my God, I didn't realize. I am so sorry. I'd like to pay for them. That's what happened. If you read, and again, I'm a criminal defense lawyer. Okay. I mean, I've heard it all. I can tell you, I happen to believe her. She's my client. So what does that really get us here? But I can honestly tell you that. And that she really had this misunderstanding of she honestly forgot to pay. Then she was stopped. Then she had to. That's where the record sort of deviates. And you can look at it either way. You can. As with regard to the failure to disclose, again, if you looked at the record, she was talking to the translator who told her, and I've had numerous cases. If you've been in court, this happens. There's the judge says something, and then the translator goes, well, there's this big long tirade, and then the translators and what was actually said is very different than what the translation. So the translators a lot of times will have conversations with the clients and sort of explain things to them. And I believe that's what happened here. The translator basically said, don't worry about this. You paid it. You're not going to jail. It's no big deal. So, and again, that's the whole issue of the cultural issue. In China, I can tell you, the police are more like they're more like referees than police here. They just sort of referee things. So this idea that this was, I forgot to pay for this, I had to pay for it, and now it's all over with. That's what was going through her brain. Is it right? No. Was there intent on her to defraud and not actually say what was going on? I don't think that was the case. We tried to make that clear. And so I think that's where and again, we understand we're behind the 8 ball and trying to explain this to you after the fact, but that's the explanation.
I appreciate the explanation, but when I read the transcript, at no point did the translator make a representation to her that the citation never occurred. That's not your position, is it?
No, I'm talking the translator in the court, not the translator.
I understand.
Oh, okay.
You're
No,
blaming.
no, yes.
You're blaming the court
you are correct.
translator.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, that is not, yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Commissioner Solis Rainey,
I don't have any questions. I'm prepared to go forward.
Commissioner Kurlicki.
Welcome today. I know it's very difficult, Ms. Shi, for you to be here and under these circumstances. And Mr. Hurst, I appreciate your role today very much. You're a Cantonese speaker. Are you from like the Guangzhou area or from Hong Kong area?
Guangzhou area.
Okay. You know, I'm sympathetic. I hear you, but at the same time, as a regular Costco shopper, I find it difficult to, and you know, I don't want to be stern. I don't want to lecture. I don't want to discipline, but you know, 2 bottles in a jacket and a purse. You know, that's not a cultural thing to me.
My back.
Okay. Well, again, you know, the facts of this are all actually pretty straightforward, and it's our job to make sure that the integrity of the gaming industry and those it employs are, you know, have a threshold of honesty and integrity that again is at the top level. And I've said this before, I want to be consistent in my application decisions and how I listen to these things. You know, we've had other people who forgot or thought somebody was a present, and we've disciplined them or sustained the suggestion that, you know, that there's an objection to their continued employment. I believe, Ms. Shi, that you understand that if this commission were to sustain and not allow you to register as a gaming employee, that you can come back in 1 year and do it again. But you know, as much as sympathetic today, I'm prepared to also entertain a motion by one of my colleagues.
If I may, for the clarity of record, I understand that the police report said that you had the 2 bottles in your jacket, but the witness statement prepared by David Moorhead said you had it in your purse. To me, there's no difference, just to be clear. But I know that it seems, I don't know. I don't believe so. But the point is, whether it's your purse or your jacket, it doesn't make a difference to me. I know it's troubling for you because you want to make sure we understand that it was in the purse, right? It was in your purse? Okay, thank you. I just want you to understand that we understand that statement. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Did you wish to sum up?
I mean, as I said, Your Honors, we understand that, yeah, you know, this is not something that you would look kindly on. We understand that. I want you to understand that, again, I really do believe there is this lack of intent, and we're really falling upon the knee, asking for the grace of the commission to let Ms. G do what she loves to do. Again, based on the record, looking at, like I said, page 2 and 3 of the testimony, I'm not sure that it's not arbitrary and capricious. Thank you.
Are we ready for a motion?
Yes, please.
I move to sustain the objection of the order and objection of the Gaming Control Board.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? I'm simply going to say that I think the record is overwhelming. There's nothing arbitrary and capricious about it. And I understand throwing yourself on the mercy, but we have to, you know, have similarly situated persons treated the same. It's just one giant misunderstanding, mishap after another that just doesn't resonate with me. You know, one and then another one, which would be the, you know, actual filling out of paperwork versus what happened at Costco versus, you know, pleading guilty or no low contendere and not understanding. It's a lot of not understanding for me that I just struggle with. And so I appreciate it and I understand the argument and certainly very articulate and eloquent on her behalf. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to vote to support the motion. And that's my comment.
And I essentially had the same comment. Mr. Gersten, I appreciate the advocacy, but it's just not, it's inconsistent with the facts in my mind. 2 bottles of any kind of alcohol in your purse is heavy. And I just don't believe that there was no intent. And the lack of acceptance of responsibility is a big issue. So I'm not prepared to, that's why I made the motion that I did. So.
Any other comments before we call for a vote?
And for the record, Ms. G weighs, I think, not to divulge your weight, I think about 105 pounds based on the police report. And 2 bottles of that size would be heavy for me, and you're smaller than me. So I don't think it's something you can forget just because it's heavy.
Okay. I'm sorry, that was that's a comment for the record and for you, but for the record, not inviting a response. At this time, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 And there are none opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next are on our agenda are the administrative reports. If we could start with Chair Hendrick.
Afternoon, and thank you, Chair Tagliotti. Report is the board will be up in Carson City next month. We have a one-day meeting scheduled for Wednesday, January 10th. Right now, the agenda looks like 5 non-restricted items at 9 o'clock, 9 restricted items at 11 o'clock, 2 patron disputes that were sent back from the board's last monthly meeting, a new game, and another nomination to the list of excluded persons. And happy holidays to all.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, if we could close with our last, I'm sorry, from the AG's office. Sorry.
Nothing today, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, if we could close with our last agenda item, public comments.
This item is placed on the agenda to give the public an opportunity to comment on gaming-related matters.
First, I will go to Carson City. Is there anyone present there wishing to make a public comment? It does not appear that there is. Is there anyone present here in Las Vegas? No, there is not. And that will,
Just one public comment. Happy holidays to everybody, and thank you all for your hard work.
And I think that's important.
Well, I said public. Anything from the commission?
From the commission. The Gaming Control Board in particular is so good about this, but to all the people who make our job that much clearer and easier every month, there really is not much controversy that reaches us. It's taken care of. But to the Gaming Control Board folks, to the Gaming Control Board employees who do it every day, day in, day out, exquisitely well. I know we don't always give you the shout out on each item, but I feel it, I think it, and you just do an exquisite job, and it just makes being a commission a great pleasure and far simpler than it could otherwise be. Happy holidays.
Agreed. Thank you, everybody. That concludes the December meeting of the Nevada Gaming Commission. We are adjourned.